Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not working. StreamYard's not sending information. We are live on Twitch, but my YouTube channel is not broadcasting it
yeah.
for some reason. What the heck is going on? 1 second, let me just double check. We are still live though. Hold on. Extremely weird. I've been having a lot of trouble with StreamYards lately, actually. Really weird.
Finish that off.
Let's see. This is so friggin' weird. This has never happened. Like I said, we're live now. People can see what we're doing, but for some reason,
just not on YouTube.
It's not going to YouTube. I don't know. That's really strange.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I think we're live now.
No, it's
That's so weird. That's so weird. Okay, we're live now. Jesus Christ.
I had to reload the page.
Why did it take so long? That's weird.
Yes, StreamYard's been giving me a lot of trouble. Anyways, we don't know what you guys heard.
Well,
but there
YouTube's
we
going ultra hard on the
best channels in the world, John Fitch.
Yeah.
Best channels in the world. That's what they're going hard on.
Yes, that's what they're
so
doing.
let's focus on today's topic, which is long-term relationships. Okay, so sorry guys, we had like a little bit of technical errors. YouTube has been acting very weird, and so we thought we were live, but now anyways, we are live. Once again, what's up? Welcome to the show. I'm joined today by Rolla Tomasi, John Fitch, Mr. Ryan Stone. And today we're going to talk about, LTRs. Are they alpha, beta, good for you, bad for you? Previously said, we had this guy in the chat. Let me pull up him. He's not going to escape my fury. Bon Joe says long-term relationships are a waste of time and money, says him from his mother's basement. I can't agree with that. Look, we're just need to be very matter of fact here. People in their youth, they like to crap on LTRs, but as you get older, if you don't have relationships, loneliness is a real thing. Because as you get older, it's harder to make friends and stuff. Like, you slowly but surely like devolve into Aaron Clary, like just a cranky old man who's alone on the internet.
The being single and dating stuff gets a little old too. It's fun, but like I've had a lot of first dates in the last 3 years that I've been single again, and it's nice. Like I've had 2 situations where I kind of had an LTR that lasted several months or longer, and they were good chicks, and we had great times, whatever. But like the first date, it gets Groundhog Day ish.
What do you mean by that?
The same date. It's repetitive. You use the same openers. You go to the same places. You get the same drinks. You have the same conversations.
Yeah.
It gets a little. You're starting over again with the new person every time.
You're running your shtick.
Yep.
This is your idea, John, Mr. John Fitch. So John has actually wanted to talk about LTR. So John, I'm going to give you the full screen, and just tell us what was the main reason you believe that we should educate men on LTRs today?
Part of it is my own personal experiences and questions, because I have been dating a lot in the last few years, and I've gotten pretty good at it. Not in the sense that I can ask any chick out and bang any chick I want to, but in the sense of like I don't fight with people. I don't fight with girls ever anymore. I don't get headaches from girls ever anymore, and I've gotten really good at picking good ones. Right? Because there are no, high quality girls, whatever. There's some good ones, there's some bad ones. You gotta have the skills to be able to weed through them and find them and which ones work best for you. So I've gotten a lot better at finding those girls. And you get to a point where like, well, do I want to just keep dating like this? Which, having unlimited access to sex is awesome, but it's hard to build something if you're constantly finding new chicks. And it shouldn't be a focus of what you're doing with your life. But part of me thinks, why am I putting all this effort into dating somebody if there's no like long-term effect? Like if I'm not planning on having kids or building a family, then do you just have to switch it off to be, I'm only just going to bang chicks. I'm only just going to date a few times, date a few months when they start getting, asking questions about where we're headed and what this means.
The talk.
Next them, go to the next one. Like, what are your guys' opinions on that? What are you guys' takes on that? Because I agree with like Rollo that like men and women are better off together. And if you're going to have kids and raise family, I think you're better off having a strong father and a strong mother there around. So I kind of wanted to have a relationship talk. Like, what are the things that we should look for to make sure that we're doing the right thing and not getting stuck in a bad situation? Because I don't plan on ever getting married again, just because I don't believe in introducing the state into my relationship. Right. But if I move a girl in and we have babies, like there's still going to be a level of the state coming into my household.
Right.
And there's got to be a reasonable path to make myself safe as possible. Domestic partner agreements, however those look, if they work or not. If she has outstanding debt, is there a way to make sure that her debt stays her debt and I don't have to worry about it?
Yeah.
Do I have to worry about her moving in, and if she doesn't want to leave, she pulls some crazy renter scam bullcrap, and then she's squatting in my spare room for months or something? What are the steps that a guy needs to take to make sure he doesn't get zeroed out a second time?
Yeah. Ryan, why don't you go ahead and add to it? That seems to be your thing because you've been in the LTR pretty long and you've managed to keep the government out of your relationship for the most part.
As much as one can. Yeah, it's common law. They give you the status. First off, on marriage, relationships and marriages aren't the same thing. A lot of guys think they are. But marriage, the way you think of it now, government certificate, tax situations, that's a legal status. It's not a contract. And that's within the last 100 years. Any time in history before that, priest would say, hey, these two are married, give her a ring, and all you guys in the pews, make sure everybody keeps their knees together and doesn't sleep around. So that was essentially it. So any long-term relationship is essentially a marriage, as long as you have like a group of friends and family that treat you guys as together monogamously. So I don't... And then as far as... the reason I hate these conversations is because it always turns into people blathering on about their fucking values.
Yeah.
You should want this and you should want that. And frankly, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want one, I shouldn't have to sell you on the idea. If you don't want one, I'm not going to waste my time trying to sell you on the idea. But if you want one, there's certain things you can do to make them better. First thing you do is you understand that longevity isn't the success metric for a marriage. That's a woman's success metric. Just because you stay together, like here, great point. In India, they have less than a 1% divorce rate. But if you've seen the state of marriages in India, with like the cucked husband, the battle axe wife, plow horse, working himself to death, lighting himself on fire to keep everybody else warm, that's the price you have to pay to get, we're going to be married till death do us part. So it's not a good metric. Generally speaking, are you happy? Are you getting more value out of it than what you put into it? Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Uh-oh.
That's
Don't
the
say
question
that.
you ask yourself.
Don't even say that phrase. They're going to come out in droves. It's not worth the squeeze.
I am perfectly happy to watch some guys who have never had a relationship and don't know how to sleep with women enlighten me on both.
Yes. Let me tell you.
So here's the thing. You shouldn't want a relationship. And I don't use shouldn't very often. You shouldn't want one. It's not your job. It's her job. It's Briffold's law. Here's another MGTOW thing that they completely get wrong. Briffold's law came out in the 1800s. It's studying animal nature, and it's basically the female of the species decides the conditions of the relationship. When there's no value, there is no relationship. we're just animals like anybody else. Girls want relationships. Girls like having stability. Girls like having a father around the house. We've talked about alpha fucks and beta bucks for 3 years now, and guys still think it just means, I better yell at her with a White Claw in my hand. It's like, no, that's not it. Hypergamy, that's not it. Hypergamy means a girl can only like one man at a time, her singular best option. So monogamy doesn't happen without hypergamy. If you're not the best, then she doesn't want to settle down with you. She doesn't want to lock you down. And that's the thing. A girl who sees you as a hypergamously best option doesn't mean you actually are. It's a perception thing. She will try to lock you down. She'll have those talks. Hey, where is this thing going? Hey, I want to settle down with you. She cleans your house when you're out. She cooks you food.
Nice.
She calls you at 3 a.m. to see what you're up to, then comes over and then blows you, and then leaves a toothbrush in there as like marking her territory because, bears pee on trees, girls leave tampons in the bathroom. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing.
Dryer.
You don't want the relationship. You're perfectly happy just fucking for benefits, right?
Sport
and she's
fucking.
going to make all these efforts to try and lock you down. And then here's the question you ask yourself. Is the shit that she's offering me outside of sex worth me giving up my other sexual options for? Now, if you can answer that question with a yes, juice is worth the squeeze, fill your boots. That's where the married red pill stuff comes in. Here's how you don't fuck it up by being a simp. But if you can't answer that question, I'm not going to convince you that, Sally's worth it. She's probably not worth it. Most girls probably aren't worth the squeeze. Of all the girls in my life I've dated, only one was worth settling down with, in my opinion. So yeah, the odds are pretty shitty. And dating might get bored, whatever. Everything gets boring. Relationships get boring. Dating gets boring. Playing Minecraft on Friday gets boring. Fucking, we learn to deal with it. We'll build up some variety. We'll deal with that problem tomorrow. But yeah, it's not a value thing. It's about treating yourself as your own mental point of origin.
There we go.
And if you can't bring that girl in, and it can know, not think, not hope, but know, not having her around would be a super mistake, then don't settle down. Don't waste your time. And beyond that, I'm not going to convince you otherwise. That's all I got to say. I'm just going to get rambly and angry at MGTOWs at this point.
Oh, it's good. It's good. I think it needs to be said. I'm going to go before Rolo talks for an hour straight.
Actually,
so I would just say this, game absolutely, like this guy says, it game does get boring, right? It literally, like, for me, it is all about it's about closing the deal. It's the salesman in me. I just want to close the deal. And really, for me to like get really excited about a girl, she's got to be ultra hot these days. Like it's not just going to be like, oh, just any old fucking, barn burner broad can fucking turn me on. Right. There needs to be a little something extra going on with her. But and this is the philosophy of modern life dating, right? We teach you how to date. We teach you how to go about navigating the field out there in a way that you learn it. Okay. You learn the skill, because that's what, like, a lot of these PUA guys, it's just spam approaching. It's just monkeys throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks. And then when you don't learn why the girl's into you, you don't learn why she's turning on, like why she doesn't want you to use a condom on the first time you've ever met, right? And you start learning the body language, right? That's why I didn't think people didn't understand body language as much as I do. And like I said, body language mastery has made me $1 million.
Yep.
And it's because it's valuable fucking information. But once you start, and I hate to be so cliche to say this, but once you start reading the code in the matrix and you start, seeing transparency in females' behaviors, in my case, all across the world, all different cultures, they're all the same. You game them. Once you learn female nature, you understand the truth of it. For me, that's when it became boring, because now it's just like, I'm just like, I'm 17 steps ahead of the chick before she even steps on the date with me. She already made a huge mistake to go on a date with me in the first place by saying yes, because it's pretty much game over right there. Unless she has some like serious issues or trauma, that she brings to the table. And you meet those psychos once in a while, but it does become boring. And it's, for me personally, I say this all the time. My empire was built on the back of whores, right? Because I get these girls in my relationship and then I start putting them to work. I'm like, this laundry needs to be done. This fucking food needs to be made. Like, do you see my cute little dog? She's starving right now. You're not going to feed her? Is that what you're telling me? You're a tyrant like that? And I get them to do things that I don't want to do as I build my empire, and they do little things for me within the business as well. So this whole thing for me, like once you figure it out, then to an extent, game becomes a burden. Like John was saying earlier, game becomes like, you know, like it's just like you have to go through this spiel. You have to go
A
through
means to an end.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh God, can I just be famous? And like, can you just come straight to my house and let's get this over with, and then you leave?
It's like doing long amount multiplication. It's like,
Yeah,
you look at the numbers, you know the answer right away, but you have to like show your work.
Yes. And so for me, that's the thing. And that's why I tell guys always money, muscles, game, frame, because I see a lot of guys, dude, it's honestly like, man, a lot of guys are they're on the really terrible path. They just can't think long term, but they don't figure out their money, they don't figure out their fitness, and they definitely don't figure out game, and they don't figure out frame, which is what the number one thing you need to make a long-term relationship succeed is frame. You absolutely need that. If you don't have frame, it's over. That's why I added that. It used to be the big three. Now it's the core four. Make money, make muscles, learn game, hold frame. Now it's the core four. And if you don't learn how to have frame, like getting girls is just the beginning. The real challenge comes in the relationship, not to mention the liabilities that come into it, the management. Because quite frankly, to be pretty honest, like most girls bring more liabilities than benefits to the relationship. And I know we're gonna have like all the MGTOW and the black guys like, see, the juice is not worth the squeeze. Like, but honestly, for me, I don't want to spend my life alone. I don't want to be. I'm not one of these people that's like just gonna. I'm okay being alone, and I want to be alone. I see older people who don't have a lot of the big three sorted out: game, money, frame.
Yeah.
And like they're, in their 50s and their 60s, some of them in their 40s. And it's just like, dude, it terrifies me. So like, I like to have my little community of relationships, and ultimately it's all centered around making me happy. So, I mean, I think that inevitably, because I personally, in my perspective, I think it's immature to an extent for guys to keep on gaming and gaming and gaming for a very long time. That's just my personal beliefs, but like it goes back to what Ryan said, right? Like Ryan said, do whatever the fuck you want to do. But for me, like I don't want to be in the bar at 40. Like I want to be like on a yacht and just be like looking at like a menu of chicks on Seeking and be like, yeah, just send this idiot over. And I have like a 10, 20, 30, $40 million in net worth. I'm in my
yacht
40s.
Party. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tokyo Yacht Party next year. But like that's my personal goal. But I don't want to be struggling when I'm older. I don't want to be fucking worrying about bullshit when I'm older. I don't want to do any of that stuff. So I'm working hard now. And that's why I tell the guys who are younger, for the rest of your life, you got to work money, muscles, game, frame. It's so important. This is your life, man. And if you ruin it, you are the one that has to fix it. I see guys in like their 40s who are like, 260 pounds. I'm like, dude, you are fucked. Like you're in a bad spot. Like, but not like you, Paul, but like I'm talking obese and like,
2:30 this morning.
Having to, well, like, you know what I mean?
Man.
I'm not actually that heavy
right
now. So like, but I mean like 260 obese, you know what I mean? But like 260 obese,
25% body fat,
30, dude, 35, that shit right there is just like, good luck turning that around. You need extreme luck.
It's only to get harder.
So,
as you get older.
That being said, that's what I think. I think inevitably for me, and I think the healthiest route for guys in my personal philosophy is learn game, get it out of your system, and then move on. Because it's kind of like, like there's people, who are like, still like, oh, now I need 2 girls. Now I need 3 girls. Now I need 4 girls. Now I need 5 girls. Now I need 6 girls. Like, when does it end? And hey, if that's what you want to do with your life, by all means, do that. But I don't think that's healthy. I think that's a compensation thing. And I think it's something's not right there. Paul, welcome to the show. We're gonna let you. What is your take on just LTRs, game? Like, are LTRs
Yeah.
even worth
And-
it? What is
and
your
Paul's
perspective on it?
Paul's a good guy to talk to too, because I like his way of doing the LTR because he still has the option of outside sex.
Oh yeah, that's always going to be a thing for me too. Like, I'm always
Yeah.
stepping out once in a
Yeah.
while,
Yep.
but nothing personal, just business.
And it's not an option; it's a choice.
Right. That's right. Well, and so I mean, it's clearly if you're in an LTR, you're definitely beta. I just want to get that out of the way. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. So, yeah. So here's what I'm finding that happens and observing everybody else and what I experience is that you're trying to solve the reproductive problem. That's the first thing. Like, you don't have access to women. You don't really have the abundance. So you're trying to solve this problem. You're trying to be able to get access to being able to, have sexual access and have those relationships with women, whatever that looks like to you. And so that's where the drive is, to want to have an abundance of women. Now, a lot of guys will, prior to that happening, will use sort of that, have that, use their necessity as a virtue and say, well, I just want to find that one girl and take care of her and get in that marriage. A lot of people coming from that framework to begin with don't have abundance with women. And so they're avoiding trying to learn the skills and increase their SMV to where they would be attractive to women. So their goal for sexual access is to find that one girl that accepts him for him and then be in that relationship with her. So when people start off with the lack of abundance, they're looking to gravitate towards monogamy or some sort of traditional, structure of a relationship in order to get sexual access. And then they're going to make that their virtue. Now they're going to say, oh, see, this is, I'm better than everybody else, essentially, because my Christian values, and now I'm in this relationship. But of course, they don't have abundance, right? They don't have that's they're avoiding developing those skills and the pain that it takes to face the fact that you're not a hot dude. And now you have to make yourself a hot dude, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what happens to most people when we talk about beta as far as relationships. That's what's happening, is they don't have access to women. They're avoiding their problems versus facing down their problems and gravitating towards and clinging towards a relationship to have that sexual access, and then idealizing that and all that stuff. But now fast forward to somebody who gets abundance with women, right? Either they had that because they were super lucky being born massive Chad alpha and develop some skills early, or they learn those skills later on through a plethora of courses that teach them how to get women. And this was my experience, you now have abundance. You went from scarcity to maybe intermittent, getting girls intermittently, to boom, now you have sexual access. You can go out and get girls anytime you want to, right? And so with that, you start rolling through girls, having different experiences. It's a lot of fun. But then you kind of realize after a while, it's all bullshit. It really is. Like, just getting laid again. Like, who cares about that? Mm-hmm. It's like, I can do that anytime I want. It's like a starving person is just going to try to find food anywhere. You'll dig through the garbage, right? Yeah. Then once you have access to food and it's not an issue, you're like
digging through the garbage.
And a lot of guys digging through that garbage, man.
A lot of guys are dumpster divers for sure.
Dumpster diving. And you know what? Man. More power to you, dude, if that's what you need to do in order to develop the skills you need. But once you have that abundance, you understand women, you start going, well, what am I doing this for? You start looking for a more of a quality interaction. You start looking to have better relationships with women in your life, which means less drama too. A big thing about it is getting access to women and having good relationships with them without having them be a detriment to your life. So now you're no longer banging the crazy BPD girl that's going to throw a brick through your car because you didn't text her back. Now you're being more selective and looking for women that are going to compliment you and make your life better. And then that leads into, you end up circling back into choosing and having relationships, because there is an innate drive that we have to take care of our circles, to take care of our tribe as an alpha male. And so when we have a girl who's with us and giving up her mating priority, right? Giving up her ability to have hypergamous choices, to want to choose us, to want to be with us, investing in that, and then potentially sexually, she's going to sexually decline and her choices are going to dry up as she ages. She's taking a risk. And we look at that and say, man, like, I kind of want to take care of this person and not just dump her, kick her to the curb at 35, 40 when her sexual choices are now not so good, right? And all that. And so that there's a drive to want to do that because they're complementing our life and taking care of us. And when people take care of us, we develop emotional attachments and we want to return that. So you kind of circle back to a point where you want the relationship again, at least most people do. And you can see that in the pickup community. These guys, our pickup artists, are going out there doing clinics and then they have girlfriends. They have LTRs, they get married. Why is that? And so that's essentially kind of what happens. And so back to the question, relationships could be, being in a relationship could be alpha or beta. Depends on your approach, your level of abundance, and whether you're doing what you want to do, you're on your mental point of origin, or whether you're avoiding facing your shortcomings and clinging to a relationship. Essentially, that to me is the distinction, Now, your structure, and this final point is structure of the relationship, whatever you want to do, could be monogamy, and that's fine. But listen, any structure you choose involves problems that you're going to have to solve. If you're doing monogamy, you can do it. Totally. Awesome. I'm pretty sure Rollo, you're monogamous. I'm pretty sure Ryan, you're monogamous. That doesn't mean you're beta. It doesn't mean any of that bull stuff. It's a choice you're making, and there's benefits to it, and there's problems you'll have to solve. Doing soft harems or doing, where you can play a little bit outside the relationship, and there's some permissions there, or you bring girls into the relationship, or whatever it may look like. There's pros and cons to that too. And sometimes you get into full polyamory. I will make the argument that full polyamory, where she can rail through dudes faster than you're ever able to rail through women, that is a bad prescription for men. I'm going to tell you right now that is not the way to go, in my opinion. Okay, there's the problems will outweigh any advantages you think you're going to get from that structure. But the other ones, you get to choose and you decide what you want, and then fucking go for it and pick anyone on this panel to consume. There's some material from them to learn a little bit more on how to do that better.
No, I think it's, I personally believe that guys who don't necessarily settle down, like after going through a certain amount of girls, I think that more times than not, it's some sort of like trauma or something is not right up here, in my opinion. I think it's in our nature. I mean, we're here to fucking die. Like everything in nature tells us to do that. Like, make children and then take care of them and then die and get out of the way. So I just don't like when I see guys like, just infinite playboy stuff like that. I think there's some sort of like unrelated, like some kind of trauma, like not relating to people like, Gene Simmons or something, because he had kids and stuff and he's just taking care of his family.
Got married too.
Yeah, and he's taking care of his family and he had kids. You know what I mean? He's not just doing this infinite playboy thing. So, Roll, what's your take on it all?
What was Gene Simmons' wife? Is that Cheryl Teagues? Who's a chick that he married?
Shannon Tweed.
Shannon Tweed. Yeah. Girl.
Shame on you, Rollo. Shame on you.
Yeah, I know. I should know that. Well, I knew she was like one of them old
T-shirt.
She held out though, right, Rollo? Like she held out for a long time.
Well, she knew what she was. I mean, she knew the
David
deal.
Letterman dated that chick for 25 years, and he finally married her.
Yeah, she knew the deal.
5 years.
She knew what she was getting into. She's marrying Gene fucking Simmons, man. I think there's a few things going on here because a lot of people will throw rocks at me because they'll say, well, Rollo can't be red pill. He's married. And then the trad cons will go, Rollo can't be married. He's red pill. I can't win either way. I tend not to use my own, my success is not indication of your future performance, put it that way. And I try to emphasize that as much as I can, but I can give you at least some ideas as to why I've been married for 25 years after going through my quote unquote rock star 20s. Okay. I don't have a triple digit lay count. I have said, and all my detractors want to say it's too few, right? I've only had 41 chicks in my life, but I guess that doesn't count. That doesn't earn me the Chad certificate. I guess maybe I should have gone for 300. I don't know what it is.
That's enough for. That's enough for the Stone Age when you were like back there.
Right. Well, it was enough to experience enough women to sort of get an idea of what I wanted and what I didn't want. Okay. Right. Particularly coming out of a situation with the BPD X, that was number one. I think when people like ask me for receipts or whatever, it's like, oh, well, I mean, I can tell you about them all day long, but it's like that was then and this is now. So. Is that me?
On, that's somebody's. I think it's Ryan. Maybe. No,
it's not me.
I would think it was John.
It was John. Fitch.
Yeah,
it's your mic.
John, were you leaning on the mic? It's all good. Anyways, go ahead. I
was just gonna say, it's like I'll tell you one of the things. My number one tweet of the year today was one simple line, and it was I tweeted it out on July 20th of this year, and I said. Today I've been married for 25 years. That's all I put. And let me tell you, it was one extreme. There was no in between. There was no nothing like it was either, yeah, great. If Rollo can do it, anybody can do it. Da, 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 da. And then it was, what is this, a big flex? What, never get married. It was so binary extreme. And all I did was put that. And I did this as an experiment. I'll be honest.
Watching everybody out there insecurities to you.
And oh my God. And so there is a lot of back and forth when it comes to commitment, when it comes to long-term relationship. I'm not going to talk about marriage, right? Like guys will say, never get married. And I have taken that stance before. I had, if you've read my fourth book, Religion, there's a part in there, this very thick part on marriage in the center of that book. And I start that out with I don't say it's a debate, but it was like this discussion that I had with Dr. Everett Piper, who is actually he's a religious guy now, but back then it was on Pat Campbell's show. And we were debating whether marriage was worth it or it wasn't. And I, of course, took the con and he took the pro side. And we kind of broke it down between like whether the state should be involved in your marriage versus like a covenant marriage, which is what his words, not mine. But it is just sort of like what you mentioned before, Ryan, is like, back in the day, it was just you get in front of a priest or whatever. They would say, Shalom Aleichem, and you're married, right? And that's it. And as long as there's the family there and the family there, and everybody said there's a ring on the finger, whatever, that's all that mattered. There was no like, oh, we're going to have, joint community debt or any of this. It wasn't like forming a corporation like it is today. And that's really all the state really cares about. You'll notice this too, by the way, when we talk about like gay marriage, it's not gay marriage, it's same-sex marriage. So that what that says to me is that is a contractual thing, not a interpersonal thing. So whatever your setup is within that marriage and whatever a breach of contract is in that marriage, it's really between you and whoever you happen to be married to. So technically speaking, I could marry John right now and we could say, here's the terms of our marriage, John. You get to bang all the hot chicks you want to, and I get to bang all the hot chicks I want to. And you and I are going to be in a same-sex marriage because that's all that matters to the state. And if I go, you know what, I'm only going to stick with one chick now, and you go, oh, divorce time. I don't want to have anything to do with my husband Rollo anymore. And so now you just, if those are the terms, it's between you and me, not the state. So if I say I can't live with this asshole anymore, then now we're going to get divorced, and now we start going into divorce proceedings. It's not gay marriage; it is same-sex marriage, and I think people kind of lose the narrative in that. The one point I wanted to make in this whole show is that when I posted that thing on Twitter and I said, hey, I've been married for 25 years, there's a lot of consternation about that. There's a lot of people who have like really moral investments into marriage, moral investments into like family creation. They think that that's what's going to save the West. It's going to save us from degeneracy. And the fact of the matter is it's not so much about the marriage. It's about us. It's about people right now. And I think John for sure has encountered this. I know Fitch has. I know Ryan has. I'm sure probably Paul has. And what happens is when you become red pill aware, we get back to that question again, Ryan, is would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? Would you rather know the truth? And I've mentioned this before in my betas and waiting post, which is women want to get to a guy while he's still ignorant enough not to know what his own value is. And that's the threat. There's nothing that is more simultaneously attractive and arousing to a woman, yet simultaneously threatening to a woman, than a guy who understands his own value to women. And what the trick is women want to play out their party years from, like, say 18 to 28, and then at the last minute, Dalrock used to say this, stick the landing, meaning that they want to find the guy, grab him before the lights come on at the club, and he's still dumb enough and still idealistic enough to want to get into a marriage contract and want to get into this sort of formal, like her idealized marriage. Like, that's why I call it the epiphany phase, because that's when women realize that that's what they need right then at that time. And they're looking for a guy who's dumb enough to still be a viable option for, like, a long-term thing.
So they can still manipulate.
What's happening right now is guys like John, guys like me, especially in the red pill, we're educating guys on the game. We're educating guys on that whole, like, women's nature and their mating strategies and everything else, so they can't stick the landing. But with that comes guys trying to figure out, well, all these, like, once you know the truth, once you have that red pill knowledge, you can either use it to your advantage, or you can go become really despondent and go black pill and doom pill and whatever pill we're going to call it now. And so what happens is or you can get divorced and you can go, oh, my eyes are open now, and now I'm going to get back into the sexual marketplace. But you get to the point where John Fitch is right now, where it's like, they're all the same. You go through the motions. It's doing long division right now. And the reason why the magic is gone is because you know the game, because observing a process changes the process. So when you were in your 20s and you were with your first wife, right, you're probably very idealistic and you're like, oh, I love her. And the sex is so good. That's why I got into the BPD relationship. You're idealistic and you think, oh, I'm getting the best sex I've ever had. This is awesome. I'm going to invest myself emotionally. We're going to have a future together and all this other stuff. Those guys, they're still in the I would rather be happy phase rather than I want to be right phase. I want to know the truth phase. And once you have that, you understand the mystery of women. I explained this to Fresh at one point. I said, a lot of these guys who are coming to them for, like, counseling, or who are watching, the accountability shows and stuff like that, they still haven't figured out the mystery of women. And they're still trying to like understand the nature of women. And, like, the guys who go to John's courses and everything, pandemic pickup and body language mastery and everything, they still need the education. But the problem is the price that they're going to pay is that truth has responsibility and accountability and liabilities to it. And one of those liabilities is understanding that you're going to have to do long division to get to a point where you can decide whether or not you want to be with that person in the long term or not. And can you actually get back to convincing yourself that you're idealistic again and you're happy and the magic comes back. And I think a lot of people go, well, or they'll get to the point, like in MGTOW, Doom Pill, Black Pill communities, that the magic's gone forever, and they know the truth, and they know that they're never going to go get that because they don't want to put the work in, or they don't want to convince themselves that but by doing that they might actually find something. And I understand, because women are really tough to, like, especially today, the impression is that there ain't no good women. They're all run through. They all have attitudes. They're all feminists. They're all bitchy. They're all cunts, whatever it is, and you'll build up on that because that will justify you not doing anything. And maybe if you know that the truth of that and the understanding of the game of that, yeah, that can be very off-putting, even for guys who are red pill and they want to date. And they want to have a long-term relationship, and not suggesting marriage. I'm just saying they want to get into some sort of monogamy. That's what they want to get into, and it's really tough for them because now they know the nature of the game.
Can we talk about that? Somebody called into my show this Friday on Free Consultation Friday, right? And he's 30, and he's like a competitive bodybuilding type of guy. So he's like, he's got a really good body. He's like one of those guys that, like, shreds down to like 1% body fat. And, he called in and he's like, I'm 30, I make 6 figures, I'm in great shape. All I really want now is an LTR. And I was like, that's like, I think a lot of guys a lot of guys think that a woman is the solution to their misery, and it's not at all. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that. I wanted to bring this to the panel. I have a series of questions.
The missing ingredient.
Yeah, I have a series of questions, and I'd like to go to
Just
Paul.
find the one, you'll be fine.
Yep.
Sorry.
Paul, Paul, I want to go with you first.
Thanks, man.
And but I'm going to read the super chat real quick. But Paul, I want you to lead the way. What do you think about these like guys who think they want an LTR because they think it's going to solve them or complete them or something like that? Like, what's a healthy way to go about getting an LTR? But first, let me read the super chat. Fit Zamako HRK25. If your LTR is okay with you being with other girl or three-way with her, why should any man be monogamous? Doesn't every man want variety? Beta settle it. No, not every man is you. If you want that, go for it. But not every guy like has like, you know, a turbo sex drive. Some dudes are okay with one girl and like coming home and she bakes some cookies and she's okay with him like getting just a little bit fat and like they're like just have like this happy homey life. Like not everything's like you must be alpha, you must fuck girls. If you use condom, you're a beta. Like it doesn't like that's extreme and a detachment from reality. But Paul, go ahead. These guys who try to use women as a band-aid for misery, what do you think about that?
Well, that's, you know, kind of like using that necessity as a virtue situation, isn't it? It's that they have shortcomings and reasons that they're not fully happy. And part of that shortcoming might be a lack of sexual access or scarcity with women. And even good looking guys with, you know, like this bodybuilder guy you mentioned, is probably, you know, good. Maybe he's a good looking dude. Maybe he's got a lot of value. You know, he has still possibly a scarcity. I mean, I don't know his personal situation, but a scarcity with women where he just doesn't feel like he has that abundance. And so, and it's not just wanting access to sex, it's wanting access to that desire from a woman and having that relationship and having all that stuff. And that can come from a lot of places. You know, a lot of people still have issues from growing up, and, you know, we'll call them mommy issues, right? I mean, they weren't cared for when they were younger, and they are looking to replace that with a woman. And so if you're coming from a point of scarcity or coming from a point of an attachment issue, you're not going to enter in an LTR in a healthy way anyways. You'll probably lose frame, and you'll probably find yourself basically simping for some girl until she dumps you or cheats on you or whatever. It's just not going to be a good proposition. That being said, though, you can decide how you want to design your life. And so here's where I think the difference is. Guys can say, well, you know, I want to, for example, a guy, I have Christian values, I want a family, and I do want that Christian marriage. Hey, I'm not going to tell you not to do that. That's what you want. That's your beliefs. I'll go for it, man. You know, but the difference is somebody who's going to do it, in my opinion, the best way is they're not coming from a scarcity mindset with women. They say, okay, here's how I want to design my life. Now I'm on the dating market, and basically these chicks are interviewing for the job. All right. And so instead of, you know, this girl is, oh, she's perfect and this and that and the other. No, you're dating around and you're being selective on who could fill that position for you in that relationship that you would like to design your life, right? And so that's the difference. Well, most guys, though, what happens is they have scarcity when it comes to sex. They want companionship. They start dating a girl heavily, and then they go, oh, yo, I really like her. I think she's going to be the good fit. They start making it about her. They take her, and then they revolve the commitment and the design of their life around this person that they're now emotionally attached to. Instead of saying, okay, no, here's how I want to design my life. Let's see if any of these girls in the dating market are going to fit that. And if it takes me a couple years to find that, then so be it. Not a big deal. You know, I'm not going to compromise my values, bringing a girl who's not going to be a good fit. And so they take their time with women. They take their time dating them and vetting them, getting past honeymoon phases and all that stuff before they throw commitments at them and put rings on it and all that stuff. And so I think that's the fundamental difference, is whether you're coming from your own mental point of origin or from a level of scarcity with women or an attachment issue, right? And a need that you can't fulfill with your own emotional and mental strength. So
Very good, very well put. By the way, guys, we got to share this video. We're getting like seriously shadow banned here on YouTube, so if you want to take this video, share it, help get the word out to all the people who need help, because a lot of guys get into these LTRs out of desperation, and we really don't want these people to fuel this tyrannical system that the government runs with the divorce courts, ruining kids' lives, ruining your friends' lives. So click that share button, send it everywhere. I wanted to. John, did you want to go? I wanted Ryan to go next.
We've talked about this before, but a lot of guys with dating and their dating strategies is they're not actively searching for someone who they like or adds value to their life. They're just dating whatever falls into their lap.
But I want to.
I want to give me attention. I gotta like keep her attention. I gotta make her happy, and then they have this idealized fantasy of what they want their girl to look like or be like, and then they try to start forcing that girl that fell into their lap into that little box, and then that never works, and then it's just.
Let me ask you this, John, tying that into the question that I have for the panel. What do you say to guys who think that a woman is the solution to their loneliness and a woman is going to bring the happiness into their life? I want to go to you, and then Ryan, and then Rollo to wrap it up.
Yeah,
that question, not the show.
If you cannot be happy by yourself, you're not going to be happy in a relationship. If you don't have your stuff together on your own, like bringing somebody else in isn't going to magically make your problems disappear. And I think a lot of it is a lot of guys have mommy issues. You know, they want their mommy to take care of them. Now they're an adult, and then real life is hard. They don't get a participation trophy anymore. And they want mommy to pat him on the head and hug him and kiss him and, you know, tell him everything's going to be okay. And that's just not going to happen. And then you also have the Disney or the Hollywood fantasy also, because every movie you've ever seen is, you know, the guys, he found the girl and that put him up over the top. And you get that kind of brainwashed into your head too, that, you know, that's the missing piece. That would complete me and what I'm doing and what my mission is.
Ryan, what do you think about this? Let me read the super chat real quick. Renegade Show, $10 super chat. Thanks so much. Send 1,000. I watched my father go through $2 million in his lifetime trying to make two women he has been with happy, or losing it in a divorce. There is no happy ending for simp. The only person you should strive to make happy is two people in your life. One, yourself, and two, if you're lucky enough to have a dog, make the dog happy. That's about it. Ryan, what do you say?
Oh, you got to keep the dog happy above everything else.
Yes.
No, this whole stuff.
Rewarding.
And there's a common.
That,
So you guys, I'm sure you've heard this fight happen 800,000 times on every social media platform. That what do you bring to the table? Shit, right?
Right.
What does the girl bring to the table? What does the guy bring to the table? Everybody argues the other person is trash, and they yell at each other. Nothing gets solved. There's something about it too that I notice people don't realize, is that they always look at the girl like an extension of their ego. Like, what lifestyle does this girl bring to me? Do we get to live in our cabin in the woods? It's like branding, you know? It's like, I'm not buying the Ford 150. I'm buying that car that put, you know, they dumped a bunch of logs in the back. It makes me feel like a man. I bought some flannel and a beard and truck nuts, and I chop wood in the woods.
do I get light beer with that?
Oh, you absolutely get Miller Lite beer with that. But you see what I mean, though? It's not like they're not talking about a person, a human being. And as much as it pains me to say this, women are actually people, human beings. True story. They have their own wants and needs, and they're allowed to want something, and they're allowed to have their own incentives, and they absolutely do. Writ large, sexual strategy between men and women is adversarial. It's not collaborative. Women are trying to lock down a man and make him monogamous and take care of the kids. A man is trying to lock down a bunch of women. Like, you get that caveman shit. But here's how it breaks down in a relationship. You realize that this woman has enough value for your life that you're willing to give up extra girls for her, or, you know, not. We're talking about the poly thing later if you want. And girls are like, you know what? I'm willing to give this guy my sexual best during my peak years when I could be going to hunt for all other kinds of dick because I think he's worth it. It's a great relationship, but here's the problem. When you get to guys who think it's a one and done snapshot, well, once we made that decision, it's over. We've made the decision, nothing changes. Well, people are allowed to change their mind. It's Manuel Smith's assertive Bill of Rights. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed for your reasons to be selfish and your own. Girls figured this out. They figured out how to have a great mental point of origin. Me first, realpolitik, and they're just wonderful. And the problem is now, instead of making guys into defective women, where we try to simp, where we try to be validation seeking, where we do all of this stuff that treats the girl like an emotional tampon, you just want to suck the juices out of it, we're actually trying to turn them into the better side of it. It's female strategies, male audience. In this case, look out for your own self-interest. And yeah, you're not going to be happy from the girl. You're going to make yourself happy. You're going to make yourself fulfilled. She can add to that. And as a force amplifier, she can be great if she wants to be. But the thing you guys have to understand is girls are going to want something in return for that. Now, the part where they also get this wrong is that guys don't think of this as a value exchange. They think of it as some magic kind of woo-woo love. Jesus comes, shoots you in the ass with the Cupid arrow, and you have love. And that's not how it works. Girls want something. That's why you're dating a girl in her late 20s. She wants a baby from you. It's because she wants value out of this relationship, and that's what she values at that time in her life. If she's 23, she values the guy that's a huge amount of fun at the Cancun foam parties, and it changes over time. Again, that's why you can't vet your woman. You can vet for the virginal 18-year-old girl with a sun hat and a summer dress in a cornfield. Well, that 18-year-old is going to turn 27 and then have baby rabies and get on to you. That same 27-year-old that gets baby rabies, has the baby, is going to want a guy who's like very comfortable and very stable and very much like what you would think of as a beta male, because she's raising an infant. She doesn't want some alpha Chad plowing through half the town. She wants to raise this kid. That's what she wants. And again, if you're getting what you want, why wouldn't you give the person what they want? That's how love works. And then when that kid gets to be 5 or 6 or 7 and leaves the house, the girl kind of has that, what do you call that, Rollo? The resurgence or whatever, where girls start to become thoughts again.
Alpha reinterest. Once she's done with her babies and everything, then she reassesses her situation.
Exactly. Now she's back to wanting the cool guy at the Cancun foam parties. And from a relationship, everybody keeps thinking it's like this one and done, stable, unchanging thing. People's motives, people's desires, they change over time. Even Lumbercuck there. He wanted a family and baseball games, and now he wants to send his chick over to get plowed on Tinder dates. Like, people change.
Yeah. And now he's back to wanting baseball and
super alpha, by the way.
Yeah. But you see my point here is that when guys are looking for a relationship, they're looking at it from a unhealthily narcissistic angle. What does doing this get me as a brand? Well, this makes me into like the patriarch. Well, the girl's not going to want to be a patriarch when she hits 35. Well, this is going to make me the pickup artist of all pickup artists. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens when she turns 29 and decides to punch a hole or say that the condoms don't feel right and she's on birth control. Don't worry. You just have to have this understanding that this is not a movie. These are not single-use things. It's like, remember Fight Club with the sofa? Yeah, no matter what happens in my life, I got that sofa problem figured out. And Tyler's like flat out, yeah, and now it's all gone. Well, that's relationships for you. It sounded like just some goofy movie about fighting dudes in the basement, but there actually was some wisdom behind it. And I could ramble about this forever, but I don't want to take away Rollo's steam on this one. You do your monologues. I'll try to save mine for my streams.
You got me monologue.
Thanks for your patience, John.
Yes.
No, you're good, because I want to deliver quality real quick. Mustang 449 Great British Pounds. I know I'm not LTR material yet. That's just bad mindset to have right off the rip. You need more money. Also, a game frame, so I don't put myself in a bad position. It's about learning and a good time for now, for me, anyways. No, don't. Join my Patreon. We'll talk. Ro, what do you think? Guys who are, looking for women to fix them, looking for women to, like, a woman is just the answer to their misery or whatever.
The problem that most guys have is they don't like, this is straight out of my book, is the frame that you enter into like a relationship or that you start out with is going to be what's going to set the tone for your relationship. So you're not going to cure your bait. You're not going to suddenly turn into this responsible man because you found your one. And I think that a lot of guys and this is as far back as when I started writing way back in the foggy days of 2001, 2002, as guys did exactly this. I got to find my one. They wanted to learn game and pick up so they could find their dream girl. because if I could just figure it out, the secret of women, then I could get the girl that who's the girl of my dreams, right? And the problem is the girl of their dreams turns into the girl of their nightmares because they don't know what to do, because they thought that was the missing piece of the puzzle, when in fact their whole attitude and understanding, like red pill awareness and understanding the game and understanding the sexual marketplace, is really the missing piece of the puzzle. But they think that this is just a means to an end because they're still locked into that blue pill way of thinking. They suffer from what I call goal state monogamy, meaning that they think that that's the end result. If I can just get to that point, I'll be happy. And as John Fitch was saying just a minute ago, they're sold on this from a very early age. It's that soulmate myth. Disney sells this to you. Popular music sells this to you. Popular media. And it's not just in this era, by the way. Okay, this is, if you go back to Shakespeare time, that you read Shakespeare plays, it's like Romeo and Juliet and that kind of stuff, or even go back as far as Ovid, it's the same theme. The same thing over and over and over again. It used to be female specific, find your one guy, and it's like that's why the prince saves the princess from the dragon, and they get married. She's appreciative of his efforts and for saving her life. They live happily ever after, but we never talk about the happily ever after. The story, romance stories, whatever you want to call it, always end with the guy getting the girl. Spider-Man gets Mary Jane. Right? It's always that's the goal state that I'm talking about, and guys buy into that, and even more so, I think, post-sexual revolution, because it's a very useful kind of fiction to get guys on board with being producers, to fitting into the female specific sexual strategy. Okay, so that's number one. The other one is this: is like guys think also once they get to that point that they have to keep her happy. Happy wife, happy life. How many times have we heard that? Like, and when I hear that, you want to hack up and discuss. It's like cringeworthy, whatever you want to call it. And the reason why it is because we understand instinctively now, particularly as red pill aware guys, that any guy saying that doesn't get it. He doesn't understand it, and he's going to chase his own tail for as long as he doesn't get it. So sometimes we'll just write the guy off. Maybe you want to try to say, hey, dude, think about you. Put yourself in that situation. Most guys who get into that point, like the guys who are the 80%ers, the beta male guys, for abstract terms here, they will do anything to get into that relationship and get their dream girl, and then they will do anything to maintain that relationship. And as such, they become the one who is the submissive. They become the one who puts her on the pedestal, and he must perform constantly over and over and over and over again. And the thing is by doing so, he makes himself less value to any woman that has decided to pair with him. That's why when back in the day, like I think it was like back in around like 2007, 2008, we had these discussions on the SoSwap forum, and this was the question: if a woman sees you as marriage material, if she's making rules for you instead of breaking rules for you, if she sees you as a good long-term candidate for marriage and babies and everything like that, does that automatically mean you're beta? Because only beta males are the guys who are appropriate, or who will continue to get on the treadmill and keep trying to make mommy happy, keep trying to make wife happy, and keep that going, because that's a production. She's giving her this security. But those are the guys who don't have sexual access. They don't have options. They don't have. They're not spinning plates. They're only looking at one girl all the time because their options are so few and far between that they've created this sort of. They've gaslighted themselves into believing that that's what they have to do. That's the right thing to do. It's the moral thing to do. So when you have this conversation and I say, hey, spin more plates, guys like, I'm a one woman kind of guy, right? And that's not what my religion teaches. And that's not the way I was brought up. And there must be something, qualifiably wrong with Rollo for saying something like that, because they're still invested in that ideal because they don't have those options. So when I was writing some notes here, the other thing is like guys don't have they don't understand that women should never be the focus of your life. They should be a complement to your life, but they should never be the focus of your life. And when they get into the state of like monogamy, commitment, long-term relationship, marriage, however that plays out, what happens is they lose polarity with their wife. They become what they think that their wife or their girlfriend or whatever wants them to be in order to make her happy. And then they think that is an honest change in themselves. And that is a very dangerous place to be. because what will happen is you're gaslighting yourself according to what you think her expectations are. Whether that's true or not is irrelevant, because you just basically changed your personality to accommodate what you believe women want from you. Right? A relationship takes a lot of work. Open communication solves all these problems. Think of all the Oprah, Dr. Phil kind of nonsense. Guys take that to heart, and they think that if they apply that to the maximum extreme, they're going to make her happy, and therefore she's going to suck his dick more. That's the basically the idea there. Rather than understanding that polarity is the key to a healthy relationship, not similarity. You want her on edge. You want you on edge. That's how you guys get better. The wolf, when he's hunting the deer makes the wolf stronger, and the wolf makes the deer stronger as well, right? You've got to have that polarity between those two. You still have to have the complementarity, but you have to have the polarity as well. And most guys will never understand that because they don't want to understand that. They want to make wifey happy.
So what do you like, TLDR? If a girl wants you to be in a relationship, does she perceive you as beta or just perceive you as alpha?
Right.
No. This question.
Oh, you're asking me? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the question we were asking back then. Is like, if a woman sees you as boyfriend material, does that automatically mean that her perception of you is beta?
Right. So what is it? Does she perceive you as being beta, or does she perceive you as being alpha, or what would you say? Like,
I would say this is that if that's the case, if like the litmus test is this: is she making rules for you, or is she breaking the rules for you?
It's not that binary of a question, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
because let me just jump in.
Is she saying to herself, like, I'll do anything to be in his space?
I'll have his babies.
It should start off with, I want his babies.
Or is she saying, what can I get from this guy? What can this guy give me? Like, where's her where's her mindset at? Was she thinking about what she can get from you, or is she thinking about what she can give you in order to be around you?
Paul, go ahead, brother.
So like, it's, you have to understand, like, okay, how we're kind of instinctually driven, right? Women want everything, of course. Who doesn't want everything? I sure want everything. And so they want the guy who is the best genetic mating option on the planet, and who will supply her with all of her what we would call beta needs, right? But there's very few guys who could fulfill that role, and even fulfill and satisfy that role to even a fraction of what her satisfaction would be. And so this is how strategic pluralism developed, which is that whole idea of the alpha lays, beta pays, right? That's strategic pluralism. We observe it in the animal kingdom. We observe it with human beings. It's an absence of having that high value guy that can supply all the needs. They'll go with multiple guys to supply several different needs. That also kind of points to how we could be polyamorous in our past, even though women were still sexually selective. They just weren't sleeping with everybody like a guy might, right? They're selecting guys and sleeping with them for various different reasons. Genuine desire, want to have his babies is one of those reasons. But hey, he fixed my car and I felt like I should pay him back. Or he gave me a ride, when my car broke down. So I had sex with him. There's all kinds of reasons women have sex in exchange for things with men. And that's more or less we could call that beta transactional sex. But the thing you're looking for is, does she have that desire for you, and that strong desire? Does she want to have your babies? Now, she could see you right off the bat as a guy I want to have babies with and be in a relationship with and have everything from him, this, that, and the other. She could see that right off the bat. That doesn't mean you're a beta because she wants that from you. It's the question of, does she want to have your babies? Is she going to have urgent sex with you? Is that her strong desire? And then she may be trying to put some barriers up so she doesn't harm herself or hurt herself, but she really wants to sleep with you and sleep with you very quickly. She has that strong desire. That's the question. Now, a lot of times, though, women, due to their previous experiences, and this is sort of behaviorally how I look at the unconscious mind, it's a bunch of previous experiences that frame their current experiences or future, what their idea of what future predictions would be. They don't meet the guy that they're sexually attracted to often isn't the guy that they could have a relationship with. They experienced that in their past. And so they meet a guy who could be all those things, but really they just sort of want to have sex with them and they're unsure about relationship stuff, right? And then if a guy signals relationship stuff because of her previous experiences, she immediately puts him in that transactional category because that's just what she's experienced up to that point. Which is why, as practical advice as men, you don't want to be sending a bunch of relationship signals until she has earned it and demonstrated she has strong desire for you. So hopefully that makes sense.
It does. I got Rollo sent me an article, but real quick, Sterling Red, 5 Great British Pounds. Good girls want kids and marriage. If you don't want that, how can you ever have a decent LTR? If you're a high value man, well, there's context to it. There's context to it. So I said this on my channel, right? I said the majority of girls, because a lot of guys say they want a good girl. They want a good girl. And the majority of good girls, what do they want? They want to fucking get married and have family. Majority of them, right? They're not out being turbo whores. They're not out like fucking being career women. They're like, no, like I just want to fucking have a child and I want to have a family. And you know, you are it's up to you as a man to ask yourself, if you want a good girl, are you bringing enough to the table to support her needs? Because it's not just a one-sided transaction, in my opinion. Did you think something counter to that?
It was sort of. I don't like how he's framed it. Like, first off, I talk a lot about container words. Put all your emotions into a box, write something on the box, throw it at your feet, make you believe it. What's a good girl? In this hypothetical, I'm not, or rhetorical questions. Don't answer them. What's a good girl? What's a high value man? What's a decent LTR? Like, those terms mean absolutely nothing. You can fill them with whatever emotions you want. If it makes you feel good, it's a good girl. If she has a tattoo, is she a good girl? Well, if you ask me, my girl has a tattoo, of course. You ask somebody else, they're like, no. You ask him MGTOW, he's like, God, no. So here's the problem I have with it. It's that this is hypotheticals, built on emotions, and built on feeling. And it's so abstract, it's completely detached from his actual life. So we're just arguing about some fiction. We might as well argue about Harry Potter. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, girls want what girls want. And I'll end this with a story. My little sister. Cute girl, tough bitch. Horse girl. That should tell you everything you need to know right there. During her grad party, she actually, I can't use the word on here, but she basically called her grad partner a bundle of sticks in front of friends, in front of family, just berated the shit out of the guy, and he put up with it. And she treated him horribly. The first guy she met, she was probably 22 at the time. The first guy she met that didn't put up with her shit, she calmed right the fuck down. They bought a house together. She even pitched in for half. She's working. She likes it. They're happy together. So the grass is greener where you water it. You can get some like corporate bitch, and I guarantee you most of those types are compensating for the fact that no man that makes them tingle actually has any expectations of them. There's some daddy issues too, but generally. So yeah, for these girls, a good girl is good because she's incentivized to be good to you. And if you don't believe me, ask any married guy whose wife hates her mother-in-law or hates her mom. Most girls hate their moms. And she'll talk about how crazy she is, and then you see the guy go up there and the mother-in-law is on the best behavior. So girls can be good when they want to be. They can be crazy when they want to be too. So she's only good as a reflection on how shitty you allow her to treat you. And that's why I don't like how it's framed. Like I said, it's not that you're wrong. You're absolutely right. But the way he's framed it has essentially like cordoned off his ability to actually see where he can thrive and survive and succeed in a relationship, if that makes sense.
Paul, did you want to add to that? Good girls want kids in marriage.
Well, I just wanted to say first, that's a really good way of explaining that, looking at that with the container words. I mean, I couldn't really quantify why that statement bothered me, and that's pretty much summed it up right there. But I mean, I will say, I mean, a good girl for you is kind of like, well, is she capable of entering your frame, and does that what she desires to do so that she can complement you? I mean, if you don't want kids in marriage, and she wants kids in marriage, does that make her a good girl? Necessarily? Well, probably not for you, because then she's going to be trying to push you into her imperative of having kids in marriage when your framework is like, maybe I've already had my kid or two and I don't want that, or maybe I don't want kids at all, right? And so I think that the benchmark for whether she's a good partner for you is, can she complement your life And can she, now I know it's a little controversial. Not everybody believes in the idea of pair bonding, but, you know, does she have those neurochemical reactions that allows her to emotionally attach to you, emotionally buy in? That's what I mean by pair bonding, right? Where she's going to be able to maintain that commitment, or are her emotions blunted due to past behaviors, experiences, and who else knows, where she can't do that. Does she desire you? Does she see you as the best she can do? And that makes her desire there for her to want to compliment you and continue to do that. These are the questions I think guys need to ask themselves, versus whether trying to quantify or qualify whether she's good or not. You know what I mean? Because different people are going to have different values. The girl that wants kids in marriage for the guy that wants kids in marriage, you know, maybe she's a great match, but maybe she's not. Maybe she wants kids in marriage and wants to find a beta guy to provide that. Well, she cheats on him, right? And that's what she's going to do. And she's cheated in all her relationships. Does that make her a good girl? So yeah, I like the idea of container words. It really does explain it well. You know, I get the point here, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but for the same reasons, you got to ask yourself what you want, and if this girl is a good companion to that. That's, I think, the important question.
Yeah, like I said, I just think it's a good benchmark, because a lot of guys say, because you have to understand what I'm trying to tell what the guys are trying to tell me. They're like, I want a good girl. Okay. As in, I don't want a fucking super slut.
Right.
I don't want a career oriented woman. I want a good, sweet girl. And typically speaking, what I'm trying to say is that these good girls, they want relationships, they want kids, and they want marriage.
I do agree with that 100%.
And that's what I'm trying to set the frame, because a lot of guys, after they go through the army of sluts, they want a good girl. Like, you know, look at fucking what's his face's daughter, the fucking guy, the 12 Rules, Jordan Peterson's daughter.
Michaela, yeah, she's a piece of work, right? Yeah, I want to throw this one out there, because I know what's going to happen when people see this part of this is they're going to refer back to something that Lauren Southern threw at me, because every time I discuss the Iron Rules of Tomasi, number 3, which is any woman that makes you wait for sex or by her actions implies that she is making you wait for sex, the sex is never worth the wait. People always misconstrue this one, because they see it only in terms of whatever their moral imperatives are, or they'll see it in terms of it's a double standard. They'll see it in terms of, well, but this is what it really boils down to, is the reason why I put that as an iron rule is because it's a test for genuine desire is what it is. It's not about, it's like if a woman's not having sex, if she's not breaking rules to have sex with you, that desire, that genuine desire is mitigated by something else, by self-consciousness, by a better option somewhere that she's got going on somewhere else. Usually that's what it is. But if a woman is that into you, if she wants to have sex with you, she will find a way to have sex with you. It's based on genuine desire. But the thing that gets thrown back at me is well, those guys in the manosphere, they want you to spin plates and they want you to have wanton, random sex with a bunch of ratchet hoes. And then suddenly they want to have the girl who's the good girl, like we're just saying right here. Right? We want a good girl who wants babies and everything else. And isn't that the Madonna whore? Yeah, isn't that the Madonna whore complex? Blah blah blah. And my response to that is like, yeah, we do. We want both. Yes, we do. And you want us to have both too, because a man's value, especially in the sexual marketplace, is he's desired by other women. That's why. And is that horribly unfair? Yeah, but it's only unfair if your mind is locked into blank slate equalism. Well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So shouldn't women be able to go and just be ratchet hoes and have as many guys as they want? Or can't they just be gold diggers? Wouldn't that be okay? And then later on they can have babies and live happily ever after? No.
Yeah,
that's not the way it works, because that's not how reality works. It's not about blank slate equalism. Men are not women and women are not men. Our sexual strategies are adversarial, and that's the way it is. Accept that, or you can rage against the machine all you want. The fact still remains is that and yes, is it a double standard? You're damn right it is. And there's far more double standards for men than there are for women. That's one that goes against women. If they have more sex, they become sluts. If guys have more sluts, if we have more sluts, then we have like higher status or whatever. And not because we think more of ourselves, or guys like pat us, hey, good job, you got another notch on your bedpost. It's not because of that.
Find him more desirable.
Women find him more attractive because he gets it. He understands women well enough and is high value enough that a lot of guys want him, and women are willing to share him. And those are the guys that women want to lock down because they want to be considered the kind of woman, the high value woman that can lock down that kind of guy. That's why. And it's just over their head because it's, oh, that shouldn't be the way it is. It should be one man, one woman, and we should all be good. And if men were better, then women would be better too. Sorry, that's not how it works. We are promiscuous animals who are monogamous by choice or monogamous by necessity because that's just how our reproduction works. We have to invest in our young. We have to be there to raise them. Ryan knows where I'm going with this. We have big head babies, right? We have to be able to protect them. We have to be able to provide and protect and provide provision for for our kids. But that doesn't mean that a guy doesn't want to go and mate with other women if he can do that, if he has those options. If he doesn't, he turns into boyfriend material. And he was more than willing to do anything necessary for his wife and his family and everything else, including debasing himself and losing any sense of integrity and making his family and his wife and womankind his mental point of origin, because that's the only way he's going to solve his reproductive problem.
Yeah. I got a super chat here. Renegade Show, $10 super chat. The good girl is the one who will give you the rock star experience, but you don't have to do the work to be worth that experience. It's not a participation trophy. No, you're wrong. I mean,
What the hell is he talking about?
yeah, this is all over the place.
He's just trying to read.
I think he's commenting on genuine desire, which
redefine terms.
It's kind of right.
Yeah, I got that.
Desire for you. She will give you the rock star.
Dude, I can pay a hooker $1,000. She will give you the rock star experience.
Insane.
A bipolar chick or a borderline personality disorder chick, she will have genuine desire.
My BPD
Now, it'll
girlfriend.
change next week, but you can get it.
Oh, yeah,
My BPD girlfriend back in the day, she wanted kids and she wanted to get married too. Did that make her a good girl?
Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely not.
No.
Or a son
But
with
yeah,
dress
I
and
do get,
everything.
and I do get what John's saying with that though, because it's what he's pointing to though is their value system, right? And so if a girl who says, "Hey, you know what? I really want to be in a relationship. I'd like kids someday. I want to get married." That's an indicator of somebody who has a good value system versus, I just kind of want to travel the world and just see what happens. Blah, like what she's saying.
It's an indicator their girl
so-
turned 28.
Yeah.
Rollo,
That's
what's
the other
that
part I
favorite
was going to
quote?
say, though. Yeah, it's what.
What's that?
Look at her behavior and her past behavior, not just what she says, because she could be
You guys,
saying
I think
at 28.
yeah. No, I'm not saying that. Like, okay, you gotta
of course.
you gotta read into what I'm saying a little bit better. What I'm trying to say, and also this is on a global scale too, because when you meet girls over here in Asia, dude, girls that are like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, their girls are like, I just want to get married. Like, I just want to have
Points
kids.
to their
Like,
value. Yeah, their value.
yeah,
system.
exactly. So like, but then the ones that are like, I want to find myself at the end of 1,000 dicks, like those girls are like, okay, like, not we're gonna bring bring more liability than they bring assets to the table. This got another super chat here, $10 from Scudum Sibum 839. You guys are so weird.
All right.
Does socioeconomic status, like the career field, cybersecurity you go into, make the odds of having an LTR go up? Why do you want the odds going up? So here's the deal. Money makes everything in life easier, okay? If money can't solve the problem, then you don't have a problem. Okay, so cybersecurity is a wonderful field. But you gotta have to just like a lot of guys, like I think Rollo talks about it often, like, you get a job, you're like, okay, I have 6 figures, I have 6 foot tall, and I have 6-pack abs. Like, where are the women? Like, you still have to go out and talk to women. You still have to vet women. You have to go out and also have frame, because good girls, here's what a good girl really is. It's a chick that just hasn't been completely ran through yet.
Desold.
Right? And if you catch her early enough, the younger they are, the more and the less dicks that they've had in them, the more malleable they are, and you can mold them to your lifestyle. Because if you're doing things properly, right? Like, look, I like MMA. You know who else likes MMA? She likes MMA. I like cooking at home. You also likes cooking at home? She likes cooking at home. I wanted to watch Star Wars Visions today. You know who else wanted to watch Star Wars Visions today? She wanted to watch Star Wars Visions today.
Yep.
You know, they, like John was saying behind the scenes earlier today, they become like a little mini me of you.
Yeah.
Right. If you're a fan of the worst team ever, the Detroit Lions, she's gonna be a fan of the Detroit Lions. Yeah.
Mhm.
So true, and I'm such a fan too.
Me and Roll talked about that briefly before we started going live. Was he had a friend that he communicates with that does MMA, and he's frustrated with the physicality of the girls that he's meeting. And Roll was asking me about that, if I like dating tougher girls or whatever, and I like softer girls. But what I was saying is, I noticed that when you're on point and you're leading and they're really into you, like they start adapting all of your likes. They start, you know, they never drink whiskey before. Now they love whiskey, and they've got a favorite scotch. You know, now they want to start asking you to work out. They want to, hey, I want to get slimmer here. What should I do to make my butt bigger? Or they want you to give them a free private lesson in jiu-jitsu or whatever. So like they start adapting to what you are, your little mini me's.
Yeah, they'll make themselves compatible with you. We talk about this all the time. It's like if you, and that, by the way, if you are in a relationship with a woman and suddenly she takes an interest in, like, you know, Swedish death metal, the Raiders, and you know, the Red Pill or whatever, she's fucking me. Okay, that's and like, guys don't understand. Well, I didn't really realize why you got into bowling all of a sudden, or why did you? Now you're going to the gym a lot more, or whatever else. There's signs, and guys don't trust their instincts or their guts or anything like that. But yeah, when a woman is into you and she breaks rules for you, part of breaking the rules is her desire to want to change herself to be more compatible with the guy that she really has genuine desire for. Like that Eva Mendes and Ryan Gosling, like I said she didn't want to have kids before, like with anybody else, until she got into it with Ryan Gosling, and now she wants to have his babies. There's a qualifiable difference between a woman who says, my biological clock is ticking, I need to have some kids real soon, and I want to have his children. There's a qualifiable difference between a woman who says, it's time for me to get married, I want to get married, I need to get married, versus I want to marry this fucking dude. This only he will do, because he's the one I want to be with for the long ride or die, right? It's then determining that most guys won't even give themselves permission to be judgmental enough to say, is she breaking rules for me, or is she making more rules for me? Is she trying to make the effort to get into Swedish death metal and the Raiders, or is she just like, you know, standoffish and say, no, you only get sex on Wednesdays, right? If that's the case,
after you
don't get into a relationship with that person. You need 100% genuine desire to the point where she's willing to convert herself, or she's willing to find some way. I think it's what Nick Krauser used to call this deep conversion, right? It's the idea that that woman will change herself to accommodate you, to be more into you, because she sees you as her best. You're the best I can do. It answers the hypergamous doubt question. Is he the best I can do? Hell yes, he is. I want his babies. I want to marry him, and that's it. It's not so much about the life plan as it is, that's the dude.
Let's move in. I want to just make a quick comment about your rule too, about protecting the birth, you know, about protecting your paternity here, because it's why it's so important. Yeah. Because, all right. So, and maybe you guys, some of you guys have experienced this, but when she sees you as that genetic best option, when she has that genuine desire for you, her goals go out the window, especially in sexual situations. She wants you to come inside of her. I'm getting a little graphic here, but she wants your seed. I just like girl who's like, oh, you know, I don't want kids or whatever. In that moment, she's like, put it in me. You know, like she's nuts, right? And she's absolutely
a niche of porn now. That's a niche porn.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah,
I laugh my ass off. I laugh just quick. I laughed my ass off when California passed the law about what it's stealthing. Like it's illegal to take off the condom when you're inside. It's like it's not the dude that's doing it. It's the woman that wants to pull the thing off.
No,
do you guys watch porn? Oh, it's a niche of porn.
Right. I've had many incidences, luckily no accidental children from it, where I'm coming out of the brain fog of savage sex escapade stuff, And girls are like, oh my God, what happened? I guess we need to go get plan B. Like what? Because it's like they get so in that zone and their instinctual brain takes over. Their feral instinctual monkey brain wants your seed. They want that. They're not necessarily all trying to pregnancy rape you and trap you. And it's all this sinister stuff. I mean, some girls do that, but that's not always usually, that's not even usually what it is. It's just that their instinctual brain wants to have your seed when she sees you as that good genetic mating option. And in that moment, she's going to pull you into that. And it's pretty hard. And in your moment that you're in, you're wanting that too. That's part of your instinctual drive. And then next thing you know, you have accidents. So yeah, so the genuine desire to want to have your babies, that plays itself out.
Be careful when they're on top. You need strong mount escape.
Right. Take John's MMA course to learn how to not get pregnant.
I had some close calls if I wasn't a black belt.
Hey, read that off. I want to read you some red flags here for LTRs, but go ahead.
Philip with her 1999 super chat says, I'm fishing and listening. Thank you, teachers, for this knowledge and your time. Thank you for, dude, because I know you're like out in the middle of like a boat or at the ocean or the lake or whatever, and like you just whipped out your phone and decided to send me $20. So really appreciate that, dude. All of us appreciate you. We appreciate you guys for like smashing the like button, sharing the video, all that. Rollo, you got some red flags you want to read off?
Yeah, so these are I'm gonna actually put this in a newsletter. If you follow the Rational Mail, MAIL, you probably already got this. This is an excerpt from my upcoming book, but these are red flags that I don't think a lot of people really talk about. It's easy to say don't date a single mother, don't, that kind of stuff. Like the obvious red flags, I think most people know. I think these are some less obvious red flags. So number one was this: a guy should take note of the kinds and types of men a woman was attracted to and fucked before. A huge red flag is if you are markedly different from those kinds of men. For example, she used to date guys in shitty bands and small-time pro athletes, but now she's taken quite a shine to mid-level business managers and guys with steady jobs. This indicates that she is in the epiphany phase, changing lanes and going for the beta bucks. This woman is for dating, not for marriage. Okay, that's number one. Number two, she was a slut with other guys, but makes you wait. Then she finally, when she does finally take the plunge, the sex is of porn star quality. She seems to be putting on an act, though, a performer on a stage. This is the bait and switch girl. That's number two. Number three, she has an entitlement mentality surrounding sex. To her, sex is a commodity which she uses as currency for exchange. She expects something in return for giving you sex. Sexual access is a reward for following her rules she makes, or exhibiting desired behavior and performance. Men who've only experienced transactional sex will readily overlook this red flag. Number four, she firmly controls the sex. She won't do certain things. She will have sex only at certain times. Doesn't like a certain sexual act because only sluts do that, quote unquote. And I don't want you to think I'm a slut, quote unquote. Immediately gets up after sex, expels the semen because I don't want to get a yeast infection, quote unquote, or to take care of the wet spot. This is any woman who is preoccupied with external things rather than focusing on engaging in and enjoying sex with you. Number five, closely related to this is she remains in control of herself during sex. She never seems to be completely free or enjoying herself. She is always assessing her own performance and your evaluation of her sexually. Obsessive self-consciousness in anything sexual with her is a major red flag. Okay, that means you are the guy that will do. You are the guy that she is making rules for, and she's like, sort of, has her subconscious still thinking about things. Well, should I be with this guy? And then finally, number six, she wants to move rapidly to commitment. She puts out overt, subtle hints that she expects an ever-increasing investment and commitment in exchange for the sex that she is doling out. Those are six red flags that you should be aware of before you even ever consider getting into an LTR.
Those are great, man. That's good. Yeah. It's funny though, women a lot of women will screech at the idea, especially things like number one. It's like, what do you mean I can't better myself. You know, I made bad decisions when I was younger, and now I'm bettering myself. Like,
my sexual past shouldn't make any difference. Are you really that insecure in your masculinity that that's a problem for you?
No, it sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
Well, and it just goes to show that deception is a major strategy for the woman. You know, female sexual strategy. They're the weaker sex, so they defer to deception and manipulation. I mean, so what? We defer to violence and coercion. We just have more rules in place, so we can't just readily just be violent and coerce people anymore in society. But there's nothing really to stop that deception. So just got to be aware of it. You know,
deception in what case? All cases, or what are you saying? What are you trying to hit towards?
Yeah, so I mean, in order to get their needs met, they can't just take what they want, women. So they have to more or less manipulate or convince, and often that involves using deception to do it. They'll readily deceive themselves even, you know, in order to get what they want. It's just part of that strategy. You know, they're being the weaker sex and unable to take what they want. That's a default mechanism when other means of getting what they want aren't quite working. So the great example again is, you know, okay, you're railing through alphas when you're younger, who you perceive as alphas. You're railing through a bunch of different sexual experiences, and then, well, you turn around at 28 and you change your sexual strategy. Now you're looking for a nice engineer guy that doesn't fit the profile of any of the guys you used to rail through. That tells you that she's transitioning from, instead of just wanting sex and having a good time and all that good stuff, which is the alpha drive towards an alpha, she's wanting that.
Put it in the dating profiles. They'll put it in their dating profiles. They'll say, I had my fun. I'm done. No fun for you. I want to get serious now. Most is like women haven't figured, like maybe they're just not intelligent enough to figure this out, or that's all about emotions because it's all about them, right? Solipsism. Right. But ladies, if you're done with the games, don't put that in your dating profile. Don't say I've had. You're not self-aware. Don't put that in your dating profile. Don't say I want to get serious and I have 3 kids from 2 different fathers. Don't put that in your dating.
Well, the thing is, though, it does get them what they want, because a lot of guys who are blue pill type guys, they go, oh wow, well, yeah, my ship's come in, you know, she's ready for a relationship. They're not looking at that as, okay, this is transactional. She doesn't desire you.
You know what's funny? Let me tell you something really quick, because both I've been reading a book by David Buss recently. It's called Men Behaving Badly. Both sexes use deception in their mating strategies.
Yes.
For men, though, because men want to appear as if they have more status than they actually do. Of course, you want to build yourself up and be authentic about it. But most guys, when they're trying to compensate for that deficit, they'll go take a picture by the rented Lambo, right? They'll find some way to impress, because it's much easier to do this now in the age of social media, where you can show your pictures on Instagram and, it's all about perception. And the chick thinks that you have more status than you actually do. Look, he's on a yacht kind of thing. There's that. Yeah. But the thing is like when we talk about intrasexual competition, women know that other women bullshit and that they deceive, but the sisterhood backs them up on that. They're happy to reinforce that. Guys, on the other hand, will go, he rented that fucking Lambo. That's not real. They will try to disqualify you because they know it's bullshit. You know it's bullshit, and they'll compete with each other, trying to disqualify one another by exposing the same deception that the other guy's using too. But that's why authenticity. You'll often hear a lot of guys who are critics of PUA and game and red pill and everything. They'll go, well, you need to be an authentic man and you need to have all this real value before you go out there and you get the girls kind of thing. You know what that is? That's intrasexual competition. That's the guy who actually has that authenticity, seeing you with the rented Lambo, and he's got the real, he owns the Lambo. That guy's going to come at you for faking it. But as Ryan would say, got laid, don't care. Mm-hmm. That's all that matters. It's all perception. Got laid, don't care.
Yep.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yep. Let me read this one. Future MD1, $10 super chat. Noticing the girls in LTRs out in the wild are angling for side.
Wild.
Chick literally bought me a shot, slid me her number in front of her new husband for, quote, learning to drive stick, end quote. Drove my 71 Chevelle. So, first of all, I would say,
it's a nice year.
I don't necessarily. I think it's bad leadership on the guys. First of all, on his behalf, I don't ever take my girl out to a bar and let's go drinking, let's go out, and go to nightclubs and shit like that. I mean, I know some people do, and that's fine. But for me, it's like, why am I going to take this bitch into a fucking wolf's den? You know, and like just like, oh, like it. Let's increase the probability of some shit going wrong in the relationship, right? And in addition to that,
a little different
like,
take on that, but
oh well, yeah, and I know you will, because I know,
it's okay.
I know, and you can elaborate. That's just my personal
Yeah,
theory.
yeah.
I
That's
fucking
fine.
hate nightclubs and I hate bars right now.
Yeah.
I hate them. Like, to step into them, just like, get me the fuck out of here. I hate all
Yeah.
these fucking normies. I feel my net income dropping. Like, get me the hell out of here. In addition to that, you know, the guy, this started with her calling him a bundle of sticks, and he didn't say anything, and now she's passing off her number in a bar to just a complete stranger. That's like completely out of line. I would never tolerate that whatsoever. Not 1 second. Go. What did you want to say, Paul?
Yeah, just I am not saying take your girl to nightclubs and take your girl to orgies and porn sites and male strip clubs. Like, no, obviously. But what I am saying though is I don't mind my LTR. In fact, I kind of revel in her being exposed to opportunity, because that allows me to test and see where she's at. So if she can't behave herself when I'm out in public, and now I'm not going to some dirty nightclub with a bunch of smelly dudes that are going to encircle her on the dance floor and try to throw their junk in her face, because I don't want to be at that place anyways. That's where like a lot of fights happen, right? But I do go to places that I want to go to, and where there are opportunities where she wanted to meet other men or whatever. Yeah, that could happen, and that becomes as a good testing ground, because you go ahead. Like, my mindset with it is, if that's where you're at, and if you're not going to maintain healthy boundaries with other men, if you're going to entertain that kind of stuff and you're going to do that, then I need to know that that's where your head's at a lot earlier than something else happening behind my back in the future. And so go ahead and do that. Have all the rope to hang yourself, because that just gives me what I need to know to execute what I need, which is distance from that relationship, if that's what it turns out to be.
Give them enough rope to hang themselves.
100%. Because the thing is, if she has got inclined to do that, and if that's where she's at emotionally, and if you've kind of lost that frame with her and she's just not telling you about it, you don't want to find out because she's doing something behind your back. It's better to allow her to do whatever it is she's going to do, and then observe and then react accordingly. I'm not saying take your girl to nightclubs. If you don't like nightclubs, don't go there, right? But that's just my because she knows too 100% that what the consequences will be for stuff like that, and that's not gonna, that those types of things are relationship enders. And so yeah, it strengthens the frame rather than weakens it. I think.
I have a slightly different take on that, and this is like, my wife simply just doesn't like, when I work in the field, or if I'm doing promos or something like that, she's like, if she goes, she goes, she doesn't, she doesn't, she doesn't care. So every so often though, I think one of the things that guys have a very rare chance of is actually after marriage, after commitment, after whatever you want to call it in an LTR, guys have very little chance for third party pre-selection. So if I'm out at a promo or at a martini fest, where like in St. Augustine, wherever we're at, I'll say, hey, why don't you come out for a little while? You get off work at this time, come out and hang out. And she'll see me at work with other women. She'll see me at work doing what I'm doing right there. That is an instance, and I learned this early on, for pre-selection, and it's an instance for social proof. So women, especially if they're with you, they need to be reminded. Okay, people will say this is dread, and to an extent it kind of is, but it's passive third-party dread. But guys, when the problem most guys is when they get into a marriage is they get comfortable, but in that comfort, that woman devalues that guy, because she's not reminded that this is the guy that other men want to be and other women want to fuck. And if you can find some way to make yourself exceptional, or to have some sort of social proof or some kind of pre-selection, if her girlfriends are saying, hey, Paul's kind of hot, he's totally fuckable, I would fuck him. Like, if her girlfriends are telling that to your girlfriend or your wife, that is fucking gold. And lean into that shit. That's why Royce always says, if a girl flirts with you at the restaurant, you don't have to necessarily be overt and go back with it, but don't discourage it, right? Don't say, oh, don't worry, baby, you're the only one for me, I would never go for her. Don't get jealous. Like, no, jealousy is a prerequisite for love, especially for women. A woman cannot love you until she's felt jealousy for you, because what that means is that's a reminder that she holds you valuable. There's something about you. Other men want to be you, other women want to fuck you, and she doesn't have the reminder of that appreciation unless there is third-party dread, unless there is some sort of rekindled competition anxiety. That's why I said the best sex you will ever have as a married couple usually is not date night sex. It's I almost broke up with this guy's sex, because other guys want to be him and other women want to fuck him. And I'm not saying you be that overt and like keep her out, hey bitch, if you don't do what I tell you to. No, that's not, it's not, that's overt. And that's like to the point of abusive. But if you can find some way to get that imagination going, and most guys don't have the patience or the art to do that.
Well, here, I'll put it this way very quickly. If you hit on a waitress at Applebee's, that's a display of lower value.
Yes.
If the waitress at Applebee's hits on you, that's a display of higher value. That's the difference Rolo's getting at here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This actually opens up the idea between having more soft harem style relationships versus straight monogamy. I don't know if we have a minute, but I would, because of the idea of So just because that kind of came up earlier. And so, well, how do we structure that LTR, right? And there's the idea of straight monogamy and being in a monogamous situation. And the question was asked, well, why wouldn't every guy, just have a harem of some sort, have multiple women? Why would any guy want monogamy? So first of all, there's different value systems and reasons and different levels of management as for every style of relationship. And some people are more comfortable with the level of management they would have to put into for a monogamous relationship versus the level of management required for harems or other things. Okay. So that's the first thing. So guys are making choices. You can't assume because someone's in a monogamous situation that they're somehow less of a man or something because they don't have multiple women. It's a matter of whether they had scarcity or abundance to begin with when they got into that relationship. But the question that guys have is, well, what would make a girl want one versus the other? Really, what would make a girl be okay with or want a man where you experience other women on occasions or with whatever that structure is? And so that's kind of what I wanted to open up to, because the one thing that is hard, a problem you have to solve in monogamy, is that her devaluation of you, her getting comfortable and not seeing you as that man that other men want to be and other women want to be with. Whereas if you have, let's say you occasionally have threesomes with your girl. Well, when you're making another girl orgasm with your girl, or you're pleasing another girl with your girl, there's no question in her instinctual brain that you are desirable by other women, right? So it really hits that and reinforces that belief that you're that alpha that she wants to be with. And so monogamy, it actually, the harem structure can be good for maintaining frame in that sense. It kind of removes that situation where she's always questioning, is this really the best that I can do? It really suppresses that. And also, women do want social proof of being attractive from the outside marketplace. And so if she's interested in other girls finding her attractive for the purpose of having that style of relationship, then that's certainly a lot better than her seeking approval from other men, right? And so anyway, now why would she enter into that? Okay, so first, or why would she or would she not enter into it? The reason why she wouldn't do a harem style is usually because she thinks that the needs that she has, because remember Ryan talked about that women, they have needs too that they want to get met in a relationship, obviously, and guys forget about that. Well, she thinks she can't get those needs met outside of the style of relationship that society has dictated to her, which is generally a monogamous style of a relationship. Remember, women are a lot more socially motivated than you are as a man, just on an instinctual level. They care more about what other people think. They care about appearances and what the collective thinks is the good idea is going to have more of an influence on her own personal framework and what she thinks is a good idea. And so it's hard sometimes to break her out of that idea that this other alternative structure would still allow her to get her needs met, and in fact maybe even allow her to get her needs met even more so and better than what she's known as being what's been socially acceptable. Remember, women are fluid sexually a lot more so than men. This has to do with the harem style relationships that existed in the past. We went from polyamorous tribes to harem style, very dominant men with resources having multiple lives, multiple women in our history. That was the first evolution, and then monogamy kind of stemmed from that, and monogamy is the most recent adaptation. So women weren't able to just sleep with dudes because their dominant man would murder them, right? But they could experience other women and not have those consequences potentially in those harem style relationships in the beginning of agricultural revolution. So that's why women are a lot more fluid than guys are, and their sexual drives can drive them towards being, desiring a relationship like that. But if they don't think they'll meet their needs within the societal framework, then they won't want to do it. And that's why you'll have women who will have threesomes and stuff like that with guys they have no interest in commitment with, but then they get into a commitment and then they're like, oh no, I can't do that. I don't want to do that with somebody I'm in love with or whatever. It's because they don't think they can get those needs met. Another thing too is that an existential threat for a woman is being discarded by an alpha or losing status with that guy that she's given up her sexual strategy for. And a big, huge reason is societal retribution, right? Back to that social proof. So people thinking she's a slut or like this or like that because she does this structure, or she lets you sleep with other women, or she, the term let you, right? Or she, does threesomes with you. It's this idea that she'll be socially ostracized. So those are reasons why they wouldn't want to do it. And if you're wanting that style of relationship over maybe monogamy, those are objections you'll have to overcome. When guys can't overcome those things, it's usually because a guy can't get the frame enough to have her abandon her social conditioning of wanting that exclusive type of a relationship where you don't have other women. Or it's because they're just, a guy's unable to maintain and gain her trust. So she's afraid that if you're with other women, you will potentially discard her. That's having too much dread, right? Too much dread in that style. Or she's just unable to overcome that social aspect. She's going to be embarrassed in front of her family, her friends, and she just can't overcome that. And so if you can overcome that in your own lives and with your own relationships, you can design something a little bit different, a little bit alternate than a strict monogamous thing, if that's what you want. So
I love it. Are you on the new camera?
I am. I don't know how to make it brighter. We need to talk later.
Looks amazing.
I only know little bits of what to do.
You look fantastic, dude. You look fantastic. Throw that GoPro in the trash. I think that is very well put. The thing is this too, and this is my perspective, right? I think ultimately, like, if you master game, in my opinion, if you master it, it becomes boring, and then you're eventually going to want to move in to something else, right? For me, it's moved into financial mastery and cryptocurrency, obviously doing massive things with Charlie, cultivatecrypto.com, all the way to the point that we're linking up with fucking Robert Kiyosaki now. And, I take more joy and satisfaction, like watching this stuff come to fruition because of me and Rolo and everybody and all the stuff we're working on, more than like, getting on an app and banging some fucking rando. But again, I've been.
One of the reasons it gets boring, I think, is because you get so much better at picking out the good ones from the bad ones, and you just get frustrated with like, oh my god, I can't believe you're like this, and you want to next them right there, but you want to have sex first. So yeah, you begrudgingly go through the rest of the night knowing that you can find better.
I think the sooner you get, because I've been red pilled for fucking, good Lord, man. I've been red pilled for like 17 years now. So I've been like doing this since I was young. And so now it's just like, it just baffles me how clueless most guys are. So I kind of take it for granted. But for me, it's like easy mode. Like I could just look at a chick and be like, okay, this chick's totally gonna fuck me tonight. Like as soon as I sit down with her, I could just tell within like the first 30 minutes. And there's sometimes it's in between, but it's a skill set. And I compare it to like playing video games, right? How many times can you play story mode on a video game before you're like, okay, I'm sick of this shit? Right? Multiplayer is something else, but like how many times can you play the same story in Dungeons and Dragons if you're like Rolo, or like, how many times can you, even for like John, like how many times you grapple the same guy and you're like, okay, I'm sick and tired of this fucking guy. All he wants to do is sit in side guard and like, drain me with his weight. And then, I have to do the same thing to defeat him, or like grappling a white belt and you're a black belt. It's just like, okay, just have this guy like not white belt spaz and hurt me. I think the world would be a better place. Obviously I'm being idealistic at this point, but I think the world would be a better place if every guy actually took an approach of mastery when it comes to dating and understanding females. Cause it's a walk in the park for me now. It's so easy.
Yes.
It's like, it's boring. It's so boring.
The effort is so much less when you're good at it.
Yes.
Like,
I mean,
less.
and like, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like before I would be like, oh, when I was younger, I'd be like, I would wait for the second and third date. Now it's like, if those panties aren't off on the first date, like I'm blocking you. Like you got to be really hot. You got to be bringing something really special to the table. Otherwise it's going to be, I don't see the effort. Like a lot of my friends in Tokyo, they love to go out and do day game. Mac the Day Gamer is one of them, right? He's my guy. We're launching Pandemic Pickup with him, and another guy that I did Dark Pass with. They'll go out and just talk. They'll like dedicate 1 to 2 hours of their day walking around talking to girls. That for me is like my version of hell, because I would rather get on a call with Charlie and Miguel and talk about yielding, yield farming, Spooky Swap, Phantom, all the hot crypto jams right now. I would be rather spend 2 hours listening to these guys nerd the fuck out and making some moves based upon that than like going out there and be like, hey, do you believe in magic? Or talking to some bitch. Like I just don't value it.
Just I do not value it.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. I don't value it, but that's because I have mastered it. Right. It's because you've mastered it. So when you master this shit, it allows you. And that's what my philosophy is. Master it so you're not a slave to it, because so many guys are slave to pussy, bro. This slave to the desire, slave to the mystery of it, the rush of it all. And
magic. It's still magic for them. Let me just throw this in there because I want to ask you a question real quick, John. Is like, how old are you now? 35?
35. I'll be 36 in 2 months.
So you're right around where I peg guys to be like, peak sexual market value for men. John, I know you're in your Fitch. I know you're in your 40s. Ryan, you just hit 40, right?
I think Ryan's closer to 41.
Around there. Paul, I don't know how old you are. You look like you're in your 30s.
Very aged. Very aged.
Okay.
I'm 40.
All right. So I wanted to point out, especially for John, because like you are hitting your stride. You and I have had this conversation before. It's like when you get to 34, 35, 36, that's when you're going to be at your peak sexual market value. But one thing that I think a lot of guys don't really realize is that that's also your peak of sexual selectivity if you played your cards right, if you have maximized your potential. And so, yeah, once you've figured out the quote unquote mystery of women, you can focus on other things because you're like, okay, I know I can go and I know I can generate options. It's confidence that comes from options and also from having generated those options in the past. So even if you don't have a girlfriend, you're like, it's all right. I know I have mastered the mystery of women so well, and I know what to expect. Just like John Fitch was saying, is like it becomes long division, right? It's just like, okay, do I want to get into that, or do I want to talk about crypto with Charlie, right? Yeah. Or what's more interesting to me? And the thing is the fact that you do that makes you that much more attractive to women because they go, what's up with this guy? My magic is not working on him. You have no power here. My magic is not working with this guy. He'd rather talk about crypto than this. And occasionally she throws me a bone, but it's the idea that and like, I think too many guys sort of take this as, oh, well, you got to be aloof, or you got to just be like, you got to be a dick to them, and then the women will come along. No, that's not it. It's being the master of your environment, and being and understanding and mastering the natures of women, and understanding what to expect, and how, and also the confidence derived from knowing that you can generate options.
Yeah, like it's a box you just need to check. You know what I mean?
Do you think you're more into like crypto and all this side stuff now because you're 35, or if you had the same level of mastery at 25, would you still be into like banging chicks? Would you put more energy into it?
No, because I figured it out. Like, I talk to guys. This is I say, right? You get red pilled, and then you dial in and you really get your spiel, your system that you run to get a bunch of girls, right? Mine is meet me at the place near here, see my dog. Oh my God, my dog's thirsty. We got to go home. And then it's fucking, I wasn't planning for this emergency. And then, that's just the new shtick for around here. But other places it was, go to the chicken shack, eat there, come drink, say, hey, I'm a YouTuber. You want to see my YouTube
video?
Helps
have a small dog.
I gotta feed my fish.
Yeah. No, it's better when the dog's there. But then you go through what I call the red pill gluttony phase. And it's like, and for guys, it's anywhere. And this is when you understand game. Okay. So the red pill gluttony phase lasts anywhere between 1 to 4 years, when you're just running through chicks, running through them. I'm talking like, it got to the point I was like banging 4 girls in 24 hours just to see if I can do it. And, eventually it loses its novelty if you master the process.
Mm-hmm.
If you master the process, which I've mastered it. And now it's like, this is boring. It's like playing Grand Theft Auto with the cheat codes on, and then you can lower your wanted level. You can get all the weapons, and then you can kill everybody. You could drive around in a tank, and then you could lower your wanted level down to 0 again. It's like, okay, well, I'm God. Like, playing God sounds good, but it's boring. After a while, it's boring. You need some kind of struggle.
Do you think it's like there's a element of like leveling up when you are in like you go in that gluttony phase? Now I'll give you an example from my own life. It's like I've been getting laid regularly since I was like 17 years old. Okay. But the majority of my notch counts came between the ages of about 20 and 24, 25, somewhere around there. And that was like right before I met the BPD girl. And so what I found that worked for me, of course, was like be the character that they wanted, which was, being a rock star in Hollywood during the late 80s and early 90s, right? Even if you aren't, the perception is that that's what you're about. And so as a result, I figured out what worked for me. I figured out I could reliably and predictably go to a club, play in a band, whatever, see a chick on a Friday night. And I knew within a certain tolerance of predictability that I could go home and bang that chick that night. Or I could turn her and put her in the rotation, have her come to my place and bang me on the regular, right? But then after a while, you go, okay, these girls, they're regular club girls. I want to get with the swimsuit model. Then you get with the swimsuit model, and you go, okay, that was fun. That was great. I always wanted to do that. I'll check that off my bucket list. Right now, I want to get with the centerfold. Oh, bang to centerfold. Cool. Knock that off of my list. And I think that guys can get to a point if they're doing this right, where they're like sort of escalating. And then at some point, if you have not killed the beta, if you're still blue pill and you're good at game, but you're still blue pill. That's why I've always made the comparison to like a guy like Mystery, for example. Mystery was very good at the game to the point where he could teach it. He could get laid. He could do whatever he wanted to, but he was not red pilled. He did not have that. He didn't understand the nature of women and the nature of the game that he was in, because he kept trying to turn those girls into his blue pill fantasy, and it was never working for him. That's why he was suicidal. That's why he got into a really fucked up situation with his baby mama and all that good stuff. But the thing is that you'll get to a point where you go, okay, now I want the dream girl. Now I want the girl who's going to be the mother of my children. Now I've had all this, and I've escalated to the point, and now that blue pill kind of energy comes out, and I go, wow, I could really use what works for me to find the one, to find the mother of my children, to find my density, find my destiny, kind of thing. And I think that's a very dangerous place for guys to be when they have learned that mastery, but then they turn into somebody like either you turn into Roosh or you turn into Mystery. You turn into one of those two because you don't understand the nature of the red
Well,
pill.
those
Dude,
are
listen,
deficiencies inside them. Those people, they have deficiencies within themselves, and they just use the skills they have to, aggravate the problems they have within themselves instead of solving those problems.
Let me say this: when you can get pussy on the front end, but you can't manage it on the back end, that'll ruin your life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember that phone call that I got of John Anthony crying about his girlfriend beating him and and crying to one of his 20-something-year-old.
What?
You didn't hear that?
And that's
No, I didn't hear this.
Well, yeah. So the guy, John Anthony, his girlfriend beats him. Okay, the girlfriend beats him, and he got on the phone and he was crying to one of his students.
Is that why he's talking so much shit about us? Because he's embarrassed about this shit?
Well, I mean, the guy he's like, life is a series of bad choices. I mean, first of all, look at him. He's hideous. Second of all, right?
Smashed assholes.
Second of all, he is with this chick. He's been dating her less than 6 months, buying her fake tits under 6 months. And, a girl just doesn't up and beat you out of nowhere. Like the abuse trends up towards that. And that we gotta handle. I got the hot dude armies everywhere, baby. So we got the fucking recording. I played it, and he was crying. And then was funny. He was bitching about the relationship, and he's like, "God, this reminds me of my relationship with my mom, the mommy issues." And this is like, Mr. I have 1,400 lays. Fuck Rollo. Fuck all these guys. Like, no, bitch, you're a fraud. And this is what happens.
I feel like an asshole for shitting on this guy on my fucking Minecraft world.
He's really a tortured soul, Ryan.
Let him.
It's like fighting a mentally handicapped kid now. Oh,
let him suffer.
100%.
Let him fucking suffer. Who gives
A
a
lot of
shit,
these guys on the internet just.
But the thing is this: if you don't getting pussy on the front end can lead to a lot of problems if you don't know how to deal with it on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the guy who called me on Friday. He says, I'm 30. I have a late count of like 25, 30. I can get the girls, but they always cheat on me. They always leave me. And I said, okay, so that's something wrong with you. You don't know how to fucking deal with these chicks. You don't know how to screen them properly. You can get the pussy, but now he's dealing with the heartache of losing it and like having this blue pill fantasy in his mind and fucking having his delusions smashed. Right, because he doesn't know how to deal with women on the back end. So it can be, you got to figure out the LTR stuff, man. You got to figure it out, because that's what I'm saying. Step one, like for me, getting sex is like, if a guy's like, I get a lot of sex, like, I'm not impressed. But if he has a bitch, like, no eye contact with anybody, bitch, look down, like, not to that degree, but you know what I mean, right?
Do you think he fights back, or do you think he just takes it?
He takes it. Look at him. He likes
like,
it. Beat me.
I don't know, man. It's just like,
beat me, Cecilia.
I think you could take her if you tried, man.
Beat me, Liz. Beat me like the dirty Catholic boy I am. But but it's funny how he brought it up too. He's like, God, this reminds me of my relationship with my mom. So he has like mommy issues, like what we were talking about as well here. And so that's what I'm saying. You have to, because women will fucking ruin you if you do not understand how to deal with them on the back end. Yeah. So
no,
there actually is true, baked potatoes in the chat. That's fucking hilarious.
Well, because so it's a thing. Like, we're always like, yes, of course. It's a savage, man. But it's like we of course we don't want to make women our mental support over origin. Of course we want to chase excellence, not women, all that stuff. But here's the thing: you can't neglect your management of women and your solving of the reproductive problem, because you're not going to be a balanced person if you do that. You're going to become a weirdo, all right, and then it's going to start affecting other parts of your lives, or you're going to get into it with a relationship with a chick that's going to destroy you. And I've seen that so many times with guys who have been very successful, and they get in a relationship with somebody and they're destroyed. So it's like, things aren't binary. You can chase excellence and learn how to calibrate yourself with women.
Chasing excellence should also include understanding the mystery of women, right? Is figuring it out.
It's part of it, right?
You can't tell, like, I know that's Rich's thing, but like, when you tell people like to chase excellence and not chase women, you have to realize, like, the more money you get, And the more powerful you get, the more devious and manipulative and skillful evil women come after you. So
Yeah,
as
bigger
you
mark you are.
exactly
Big
as you
real
increase your
predators.
value as a man, you have to increase your competency and understanding female nature. That's why I say the core four. I'll say it to the day I die: make money, make muscles, learn game, hold frame.
I think
That's
people
the core
lose.
four is what guys need.
They lose the narrative when you say chasing women, because it seems like you're going, I'm going to chase
Yeah.
after women. That's what they, that's the mental
Yes.
image. It's not
Yes.
even so much chasing women. It's like understanding women's nature, understanding game, understanding the red pill, understanding your nature, her nature, and how that intersect. Understanding intersexual dynamics is not, that could be a girlfriend. That's not what it is.
And Rich, and to be fair, Rich advocates learning about women, how to manage them too. He's not
Yes,
saying that,
yes,
but that's how guys
yes,
misinterpret.
absolutely.
No, yeah, that's what I'm
you
saying.
know?
Is the
Yeah.
surface level misinterpretation, chase excellence, not women. I think that's
It's the
detrimental.
word chase.
Every guy
Yeah.
absolutely has to understand female nature. You have to, especially, dude. I know multimillionaires that are getting bossed around by 5 out of 10s. Bossed around, multi-million dollars. Not one, not two, not three. We're talking 5+ million. If I had $5+ million, first of all, I wouldn't be here. Second of all, nobody would be telling me shit.
Mm.
Nobody would be. I'd be like, don't even. If you pronounce something wrong, don't even look at me. Like it's
No,
so like I it blows my mind that that a multimillionaire would tolerate this from a 5 out of 10. She's not even super hot. She's not even super hot.
And probably hasn't had sex in like 10 years, right? And it's sometimes it's even worse than that, John. It's like there are other women who are completely not intimate with the guy are running the show. Maybe it's her mom, maybe it's her sister, maybe it's her girlfriends, maybe it's their staff, maybe whoever it is are running the show because that he just doesn't understand the nature of women. They don't. Chasing excellence is great. I'm glad you have lots and lots. You've got millions of dollars. But if your life is if you're powerless, and remember the definition of power is the ability to have control over the direction of your life. If that control is limited by your headspace and how you think about women and how you think you ought to treat them and everything else, if it's limited, you're powerless. I don't care how rich you are. You're still powerless to make those decisions because it starts right here. You're gaslighting yourself.
Yeah. No, like I said, so with all this happening now, around us, with women getting pretty good at fleecing dudes, and it's not necessarily because I think American women actually have some of the worst game on the planet, compared, because everything's pretty fucking easy for them, because the guys in America, the guys are fucking laydowns. Most dudes in the West
Rollo's
are
got an
laydown.
article on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
several.
There you go. So I mean,
there's mainstream writers now that have an article on that.
Yeah, what was your thing? Show up, bring beer or whatever?
Yeah, show up naked and bring beer. That's the extent of women's game. They don't have to. There's no seduction involved. Women don't have to seduce men anymore. They show up naked and they bring beer. That's all. They have to show just the slightest amount of it. One slight IOI. That's all it takes for most guys.
These girls, man, they come over wearing a bathrobe and shit sometimes. Like, I know it's coming off. You know the clothes are coming off, but like, put in a little bit of effort.
Right.
Some yoga pants. Dress a little classier.
Yeah, you, baby. I know.
Yoga pants would even be nice to step up. Like, just a wrapped thing around. It's just no effort. And like,
I'm picturing flip
no
flops,
other dude would ever be.
bathrobe.
No other dude would
half
say
a
anything.
cigarette.
Like, oh, Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. They don't have to be sexy, and therefore, because they know that guys when guys are kicking down $2,000 to get a picture of a girl in glasses on OnlyFans, do you think she has to put on lingerie? Do you think she has to make an effort? No, she's got 10,000 guys who are ready to just, get their pay pigs to give them money for the slightest thing. Women don't have to be sexy. In fact, feminism has taught women that they should never do anything for the express pleasure of a man. And if they are, they're going against their own strong, independent woman narrative.
Let me ask you another question. Let me ask another question to the panel. Okay. So for you guys, all right, I have too much. I got two more questions, but we can keep it to one because I'm cool. There's no dude party after this, and I'm enjoying this long conversation we're having, quite frankly. How to find the right one and how to keep a woman interested. Those are the two questions I want to ask. But let's go to the most important one that most guys want to know: how to find the right one. What would you say is the answer to finding the right one? For me, I say it is volume. It is just sheer volume. You have to go through a lot. You have to slay a lot of dragons to get to the princess. That's what I say. Okay, you got to go
think
through
you're
an
getting ahead of it a
army.
little bit too, though.
Yeah, I've been through a fucking army of whores, an army of bitches. On there, this one bitch I went on date with, I hate her guts to this day.
No movie.
Her name was fucking Samantha Turner. The worst date I've ever had in my entire life.
I will name dropper.
I will fucking forever hate Samantha Turner. And you know, but when I meet, you know, now that I have like great women in my life, it's just like it was so worth it. But sheer volume, truly, in my opinion, is the answer to finding a good one. You may get lucky, like Rollo got lucky, you know, and there are a lot of more better women around in Rollo's time. Like they weren't all like, you know, fucking subsidized by the government to be whores. So like, you know, it was a little bit easier back then as well. But I think now it's a sheer volume game to find not the one, but the one for you. What would you guys say? What would you guys say is the answer?
Volume, of course, but I think, you know, you have to be worth something. You have to have some kind of value in the first place, because if you have no value, if you're a fat turd and you're broke, volume's not going to help you find the best one possible, you know. So get yourself sorted first, and then pump volume. And I think it's important too to you know, spin plates, because like I've been in that situation where you find one that's pretty good, and you could make the mistake of, you know, not dating and focusing on one girl, but not realizing like there are even better ones out there. You really do need to go through a lot of girls.
I'm going to say, I'm interested to hear what Ryan has to say on this one, because he wrote this massive essay, and I know you're trying on the vetting thing. This is kind of pointing in on that. And I haven't read your thing yet. I mean to read it and actually see what your take is on it, because I know you kind of rail against it, but I'm just curious. I want to know what your take is.
Yeah, I don't just run my mouth on this stuff. The relationship's not my job. Like here, I don't fucking know. Do you want to know how I got into my relationship? I had a stripper flaking on me. Picked her up for my buddy's bachelor party. I actually put it in the book. We were in a foreign port in Vancouver at the time. We're at the Longsdale Quay. I think that's what it's called. It's been a while. Got down there. She flaked. I got annoyed. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to go out. My buddy had like a bondage party in like West Hastings, which if you don't know, that's like the most dangerous part of Canada. So I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And it just so happened, one of the girls that I had as a plate at the time was up there on a date, and she flaked on some other dude. So she was bored with nothing to do. I dragged her to a party that the first thing we walked in was like a Troy Francis scene of some chick getting whipped on a cross. And I'm like, oh, this is a fun date. And she all went with it. She dropped her pants, so she was just panties and like a bra on there. I'm like stripped down to my underwear. I'm like, well, I guess we're having fun. Next morning we had Caesars, and I'm like, I realized, like, you know, this plate was good. The stripper was annoying. The dog walker was annoying. A bunch of other girls I had played at the time were just annoying. And this girl, I had played it for a year. Didn't give me any reason to boot her. No red flags. And so I'm just like pure, I don't know if it was the hangover or the boredom. I'm like, I'm going to give you 90 days. Let's give this a shot. She's like, yeah, all right. And it's been about 12 years, and I haven't given her the certificate yet that she passed the 90 days, but I've got to remember myself to do that. The point is, there was no vetting at all. She didn't give me any reason to kick her out. And I looked for them. I'm always looking for a reason to boot a chick out of my place. They're horrible.
That makes sense.
Isn't worth the squeeze. Yeah,
I would say that's
realized,
kind of
vetting,
vetting,
she wanted to get together with me. Once we kind of did this, she would always be like pleasant around my friends. She cleaned my house when I was gone. Dude, my mom came over her visit, and she was so excited to meet her. She cleaned my house from top to bottom. Top to bottom. She made everybody this crazy Mexican feast. Like, she was invested. So I didn't look for that, and I didn't vet for any of that. She just showed me investment, and I just followed where the value was in my life. And at that time, she was showing me nothing but value. So of course I'd stick with it. You'd be stupid to throw that shit away.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, dude. Like, to me, that's kind of what I think of when I think of vetting, though.
Yeah.
It's that, you're looking for, you have your standards, you know what you want to, what you want that relationship to look like. This chick's making you feel awesome and she's fulfilling those standards. You're not giving away the commitment right away. You're just going along and you're looking for reasons for her not to fulfill that. And if she doesn't, bye.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just basic boundaries, right? There's the things I won't put up with. She doesn't do any of them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, we're
Great.
totally on the same page on this. I was wondering
frame.
what you meant. So
I think that is to an extent vetting though, Ryan, because you're like looking for reason to throw the bitch out.
Yeah. So I think when you say definition of vetting, you mean I think you mean
vetting.
If you want to make vetting mean exactly what I did, then I'll be on board with vetting tomorrow. I'll tell you.
Negative reinforcement.
So the difference, I think, when you say like the thing that you're not doing in it is like having the grocery list of
Yeah,
things
I didn't have a grocery list. I didn't get these, like, and no offense to you, John, but when you're talking about, I get bored with this. I don't want to be alone. I had no problems with any of that. I was happy to die a single old man in his 80s, either to get laid or to not get laid.
Fuck that. That's terrifying.
Fine by me. I'm the kind of guy, dude, I'm this fucking close to buying a cabin in the woods and just going full roosh. The only thing I'm missing is that little spark of crazy to get us there.
A high-speed internet connection, laptop, a high-end camera. Like, yeah, you're missing all of that.
Yeah. All right. I'm missing the ability to be, but that's just it. Like, I don't need this. It's one.
That's what it is, though. The LTR, it's your life is better, and she makes it. She proves that your life is better with that than without it.
And if you ask her, I'm doing the same thing reciprocally. And this is what I love about having it as a relationship, vice a marriage. A marriage, you can stick together because, I just love my kids. I don't want them to be raised without a dad. It's I don't want to lose half my shit. I got it. And they always have these excuses why they have to stay together. I don't have to stay with my girl. Every day I decide to. It's a choice. I don't cheat on her, not because it's a deal and it's part of the rules. It's because every day I decide she's great and I don't want to. It's always a choice. And I love that because it's mental point of origin, Rolo. You say that every goddamn day. And every day I hear guys ignoring the fuck out of it. Every day I make it a choice to do something that's in my best interest.
First.
Yeah. She's great. I'm great. Dude, I showed her that stupid list that Ajax shows about high quality women. She's like, I don't meet half of this shit. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. Take out those tattoos and get a summer hat. I don't fucking know.
I'll give you the secret. You want a secret to a healthy marriage or a healthy LTR? I'm gonna break it down for you. It's not so much about vetting, although vetting should be a natural process rather than going, let's have an Excel spreadsheet and see how many of these things should check
that's
off. No, that's not it. First and foremost, you got to spin plates. You got to have a variety. You have to have generated options. You can't be an 80%er. You have to have experience, validational sex, meaning you got to find a girl who wants to have sex with you, not like has to, is obligated to, because if that's where your mentality is, that's going to transfer over into your marriage and into your long-term relationship, however you decide to define that. If transactional sex is all you've ever known, it will remain that way when you get into a marriage. In fact, you will define your marriage because you think that that's the way it should be. That's number one. You have to find a girl who wants to fuck you. You have to be the guy that other men want to be and other women want to bang. You have to have that. You have to be the guy she breaks rules for, not makes rules for. If the girl is making rules for you to have sex with her or anything else, you're out. That's it. If you want to vet, that's the number one rule I would say. I got to vet for a relationship. If you're not vetting by make rules or break rules, then you can just kiss your ass goodbye. Because if you're willing to accept those rules before the relationship starts, you'll sure as shit jump right into that afterwards. Again, transactional versus validational. You have to be the man that she wants to have babies with. You have to be the man who she wants to marry. Not I got to get married or I got to get babies. I want his babies. If you're not that guy, she's off the list. Number one. So there's that. You've also, the reason I say spin plates is not because I say, well, guys should just go fuck anything on two legs. That's not what spinning plates is all about. It's about understanding and experiencing enough women so that you know what they're about and what you want and what you don't want, so that you can experience the idea, well, is she withholding sex? Is she transactional? Is she this? You don't understand that firsthand unless you're dating a lot of women. And I mean that in the sense of concurrently. So you have a roster of women where you're spinning plates. During that process, unless you're a guy like Roosh or whatever else, and you're some self-loathing freak, okay, during that process, one of those girls is going to be like, okay, she's my main. That girl has more of what I want in a chick than the rest of these other chicks. And that's why I said, and if you read my fucking book, go and read the section. There's 6 chapters on plate theory. The last one is transitioning from non-exclusive dating to being with that one monogamous woman. As a result, because you had the selection and the confidence and the options from spinning plates. That's why you spin plates primarily, right? You might say, well, I want to have sex with a lot of chicks. Of course you do. But as a result of that, if you don't have a better wisdom after having done that, then you completely lost the narrative. You lost the track of why you do what you do. So that's number one. When you get into a relationship, polarity, number one, you have to remain who you are. Don't become who you think she wants you to be. The minute that happens, you're dead in the water, because now you have made it a transactional relationship rather than she wants to be with me. Never self-deprecate. Never go, oh, here's the little lady who is so much better than me. Man, it must be a gift from God because I'm such a schmuck and she's so great. You start doing that, you've just changed the narrative. You're screwed. Don't think that. She's lucky to have you. Keep that in mind. Even if that sounds cocky and arrogant, keep that in mind, because what happens is you say that enough, you repeat that enough, you keep that going. It's not that you're an asshole. It's that you have a higher appreciation of yourself, and you appreciate yourself, and she should appreciate the value of what you bring to the relationship with her. Number two, if you are in a relationship, it should be effortless. There is no fucking work all the time. Whenever I hear marriage counselors, or I hear couples at a marriage counselor thing on Showtime or whatever that show is right now, they're like, well, we're really working on a relationship. 90% of the time, it's the wife going, we're really working on the relationship, aren't we, honey? Like it's on him, as Ryan was saying. It's not my job to sustain and maintain the relationship. It's your job as well. Right. And it's not about work. Anybody who says it's work, you're that relationship, what is it? 40 or 50% of marriages end in divorce anyways. You're fucking doomed. Unless you have an understanding of who you are and she has an appreciation for you and you have an appreciation for her, you're not going to be successful in that marriage, whatever that ends at, however you decide to define that. You also always have to maintain value. From the time wherever you get married when you're younger till the time when you're 70 or 80 years old. This is what throws guys off. Do I have to when can I let down my hair? When can I be comfortable? When can I stop being, I can let the real me and let the mask fall off? Never. You have to be that guy. You have to be the game. That has to be you. And they go, well, that sounds like a lot of effort. Well,
it's not, though. That's what I hate.
You need to be putting that effort out, whether you're married or you're not, whether you are like going, because what are you doing it for? Are you becoming the best version of you? Or are you like chasing excellence because of you or because of what you think the chick is all about? If that's the case, then she becomes the focus of your life and not the complement of your life. And that's the last point I was going to make. Women should never be the focus of a man's life. She should always be the complement to it. If she's not complementing to your life, or if you're in the vetting process and you go, she's like more dead weight than she is complementing my life, don't marry her. Don't get involved in that. Find something else. If you have the value, if you have the ambition, if you are making yourself into something more every day, maximizing your potential, it's not going to make any difference whether she's dragging you down or she's not. You're focused on you at that point right there. You can decide sexually selectively, I don't want that and I do want this. And when you do that and you put yourself into an abundance mentality instead of a scarcity mentality, that is when you're going to have the best relationships. So,
all right, well, we're gonna bounce. It's been 2 hours and 22 minutes. You ungrateful Jezebels don't deserve any more. Just joking. We love you guys. Really appreciate you. There it is.
There you go.
Pandemic Pickup's available. Go to pandemicpickup.com. We're teaching you how to get online game, day game, you name it. We got it. We have escalation models. We show you how to escalate with girls. It's going to be closing at midnight on Monday.
Get it.
We have over 40 something people have signed up so far. Get in, go to pandemicpickup.com right now. Do you want to do anything or we just want to end it there?
I am going to be on tomorrow at 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern on my channel. That's it.
John, go.
Cool.
Yeah, I got get on my new newsletter, jumpfish.net. Sign up for the newsletter. I've got a intro to self-defense course coming at you for free, but you gotta be on the newsletter.
Cool. Ryan, go.
Digital Ryan, links in the chat. Subscribe. You'll love it.
Paul.
Apex Mindset or Alpha Mindset rather course. I am dropping it next week. It's all of the neurobehavioral conditioning and mental fitness exercises rolled up into a massive amount of content. And so that's happening next week. I'm just finishing up some particulars and some editing this weekend and stuff. Get on the email list because I'll have an exclusive offer for my email list, and then I'll open it up to affiliate links and all that stuff. And that's happening real soon. So thank you.
Cool.
All right, guys. Peace out.